It was an ambush.
How many did you save?
Just like a dream.
You did the only thing you could do. And you lost.
Like a dream.
Look, we're still in this thing.
The day you walked away.
But we have no idea what we're dealing with.
Unfortunate.
Things are getting worse around here, aren't they?
Boyd, we're out of food.
Too many things are changing. Yeah. I have to remember.
Remember what?
What's missing?
Nothing that I've been through is possible.
I think you're here for what's in the basement.
This place will not break us. We can still win. But the only way we go home is together.
Hello. Ethan, run! Go! The game here is rigged. Why can't they leave us alone?
No matter what this place throws at us, we're gonna find our way home. Everybody just talks about how afraid they are of dying. Well, I don't think that's the worst thing that can happen to you here.
Hello?
Like a dream.
You looking for these?
Into my life.
You can't save them all.
But things are really how they seem.
The fucking keys! Get the fuck back.
Oh, sweetie, it doesn't work that way.
Hey, get back to the bus! Can't find the fucking keys! Where the...
You looking for these?
Motherfucker!
Take them. We get to keep Randall, though.
Off me!
You can't save them all.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Motherfuckers! Fuck you! Boy! Boy, did you leave me, a piece of shit?
Welcome all to another live edition of the Fromville Hour. And as I was just saying in the chat there, that was one of my favorite scenes from the episode. I mean, it's a great scene in total, but watching Boyd's reaction to having to be forced to leave Randall behind and snatching the keys from the monster. Fuck you! Ah, man, that just, that reaction will never get old for me. Just great acting from Howard Perrineau. Great, great acting indeed. Fuck you!
You looking for these?
Motherfucker!
Take them. We get to keep Randall, though. You can't save them all.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Motherfuckers! Fuck you! Boy! Boy, did you leave me, a piece of shit?
Oh, that just doesn't get old. That just does not get old. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I love that reaction. But welcome, everybody. Episode 4 is here. And I must say, I definitely enjoyed this episode a lot more than episode 3. Not that I disliked episode 3 but in any way, but episode 3 definitely felt a little bit more of a setup episode for things we saw here. But I enjoyed this one. I thought we got some pretty interesting scenes, some really great performances by Scott McCord as always. I mean, the way the way that he slips into the skin of Victor and just becomes so believable as this kind of traumatized 10-year-old kid trapped in an adult body. Just cannot praise his acting enough. But I enjoyed this one. Thought we got some pretty interesting reveals. Nothing too big, but we got some interesting context for some more things, like Christopher and the puppet. A little bit more information on the 1978 massacre, things like that, and of course, a wild reveal in terms of Fatima going full on Donner Party. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes from here. Where is Fatima going to go? What is she going to chomp on next? Does Ellis need to worry? That's what I'm worried about. That they're going to be laying in bed at night and she's going to take a big old chunk out of Ellis right when he's sleeping and tear out his carotid. But hopefully that is not the case. But I thought this was a fun one. Again, I enjoyed it. Looks like they're setting up some pretty interesting things for the rest of the series, rest of the season at least. So I'm looking forward to it. And of course, the big cliffhanger ending of Randall getting dumped onto the ambulance with half of his freaking cheek missing. What is going on there? Why did the monsters choose to spare Randall? Could he be potentially turning into something else? A lot of people seem to think Randall might turn into a monster, and even I kind of saw some foreshadowing for that potentially being the case, which we will talk about tonight. But welcome one, welcome all. We got some awesome people with us this evening. Everybody in the chat, so glad to see you. And of course, we are joined by my awesome friends, Ravener and Rob the Replicator. Welcome, guys. How did you? What did you think about episode 4?
Yeah, I thought it was a lot better than 3. A significant improvement. Lots more happened. I didn't get the answers I wanted, but I'm okay with that for now.
Yeah. I feel you. What about you, Ravener? Step up from 3 or?
Yeah, absolutely. I went pretty. I
was
gave
just gonna say yes.
number 3. Well, no. Yeah, I gave number 3 a pretty harsh rating, and this one definitely redeemed. We're right back on track. There were quite a few. They left a lot of things unanswered. They led us into a lot more anticipation. Many of these scenes, I feel like they got halfway through, or not maybe halfway through, but they just didn't finish them. Among them, obviously the cliffhanger ending with Randall. Fatima, we saw her start doing what she's doing, but we didn't see her. We didn't see what happens next. Now the question is, when in episode 5, how much time progresses? Are they? I mean, I guess the next episode's titled is "The Light of Day," right? So I wonder.
I think it'll already be morning.
Woo! So, but that'll be how Fatima gets the fat belly. Her son will be big and fat, but it'll be a Thanksgiving tummy, not a baby. Hey, where's Nikki? Where's Nikki's body? I don't know.
I imagine that. Wouldn't that be crazy if like the whole body just disappears? You just chomps down on all of Nikki, or not even chomps down on all of them, just takes the body and hides it somewhere and is slowly just chomping down on Nikki through over the next few episodes, and everyone's wondering, hey, well, that's Nikki's body. Fatima covered in blood. Shit, I don't know. Wasn't me.
I know. I was waiting for her to poke a straw in there like a Capri Sun and just start slurping.
Yes. Because I wonder, where's it going to go from there? It seems like she's very much craving human blood, but is she going to go like full cannibalistic style and start biting into raw flesh next? Like, what's the progression here? I mean, we start with rotten and decayed food, which is already kind of death incarnate in and of itself. Now she's moving on to literal dead bodies, or blood at least. Are we going to see her chomping into some alive human flesh next? Again, like, I really worry for Ellis. Ellis, protect your neck, man. Protect your neck. She might take a chunk out of your carotid artery. And,
what if she starts eating monsters, Jeremy?
Ooh. Oh, shit. Now, that could be pretty interesting. I mean, she could turn out to be a little secret weapon against the monsters. Just, forget about the talismans. Forget about a boy trying to trap them. Just send Fatima out there, and she'll chomp them all down. Maybe.
Well, the one thing that's certain is that this can only go a certain amount of time. You can only go so far feeding on all this rot. She already got caught once with Till, and if she's switching over to human flesh and corpses and whatnot, Well,
She's gonna
the
get
thing
caught
is, though, man,
eventually.
we got 2 fresh ones down on the down in the town now too.
Ah, yeah, the red shirt EMTs. That's right. That's
Well,
right. So she potentially has plenty of food stored if she really wants to continue going down this route. I guess there's plenty of yummy blood around there for her to chew on, as All City Big Heck says. Yeah, plenty of yummy blood around.
yeah.
Plenty
And
of
I mean,
yummy blood.
once it's dead, it's like how dead stuff doesn't go bad, right? I mean, how bad does it have to be before it's too bad? So you think it's gonna be fair game for
I
a
have
while?
no idea. You might be right. You might be right. You don't really have to worry about the meat spoiling, considering she likes spoiled food anyway. So, yeah, she, at least we don't have to worry about Fatima and the food shortage where she's concerned anymore. She gets tired of those veggies. She can chomp down on some liver next. But yeah, it's again, it was definitely a pretty interesting progression. I mean, we've all been wondering, and we're all still wondering, like, where exactly is Fatima's storyline ultimately going to go? Is this some kind of weird monster baby she's getting ready to birth? Is she even pregnant? That's been a pretty popular theory that's been gaining some steam lately. Is that she's not even pregnant at all. It was a false reading, and that really she's the one that's turning into something else. And I could easily see that being the case as well. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see where exactly is this storyline going to go for Fatima. What will the next progression be? Will she be trying to chomp down on something alive next? I don't know, but
I reckon that would be more
dying to
interesting
see.
though, if it was her that's turning, then instead of she's got a
Yeah.
demon baby, which is what everyone thinks. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they throw
think
that
it would
around for
be.
the good.
Yeah, I think it'd be a little more interesting. I think you're right. I mean, we've seen a lot of different iterations of the whole kind of monster baby, the Antichrist baby kind of thing, and
Yeah.
not that those storylines aren't can't be interesting, but I think it would be a really cool twist if we find out that she was never even pregnant. It was some kind of false reading, and really she's the one that's turning. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. And of course, we got the reveal of Jasper, the evil puppet Jasper, which apparently looks like is going to probably play a pretty interesting role on the series. And some of us are even wondering, is this Jasper entity, or is this Jasper puppet, is it possessed by some kind of entity? Is this the big bad? Is this the main villain we've been waiting for? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Creepy Jasper. But first, before we dive deeper into all of this, of course, we want to say what is up to you guys in the chat. Let's see who is here. But first, we got a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Sufflenny. Appreciate that. Where are we at from explaining spiders plus Martin? Oof. I mean, the spider talk's always interesting when it comes to From, because you have a big portion of the fan base that really thinks there's going to be some more spider action coming, whether it's regular spiders or some kind of giant spider. The giant spider theory has definitely been a very popular one ever since season 1. I'm not sure. I feel like we've seen a lot of foreshadowing for spiders. I would be surprised if we don't see them again in some kind of capacity. Am I expecting to see a giant spider on the show? Not really, personally, but I think it would be cool if we did get that. I mean, we got completely robbed of our ice spiders in Game of Thrones, so let's get a giant spider here on From. I mean, silver linings. But what about you guys? Rob, Ravener, when you think about the spiders that Boyd got bit with in season 1, you see all the spider drawings that are on all of Victor's drawings. Do you think they're foreshadowing some other kind of spider action to come later on in the series? Think we'll see the spiders again?
I think it would be a rip off if we didn't, because they were foreshadowing that as early as Ethan's coma, right? When he said, the spider came down and somebody screamed, something like that. And when he was talking about the
season 1,
when he was envisioning, he envisioned the inside of Victor's room, even though he'd never even made it, into the town at that point, which was pretty strange. And then, they went through all the trouble of getting out the Spirit Halloween cobwebs and spreading them all over when after whatever it was dragged Boyd and Sarah in the tent, and it had the spider web covered thing that included Abby. So I'm thinking, man, that's one of those things. They've gone too far down that road to just pull the plug on it and not mention it
just
any
abandon
further.
it.
I think so. Yeah. That's my take on
Yeah.
it.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we'll see them again. What about you, Rob? Think we'll see some more spider action? And a lot of people were wondering, was it the spiders that actually cured Boyd's Parkinson's too? Because of course, after Boyd, got bit by the spiders, and he gets the worms not long after, his Parkinson's all of a sudden stops. His hand stops shaking. But it seems like now the shaking is returning. We see in episode 1, he's shaking like a freaking leaf trying to pour a drink in episode 1, and shaking trying to put the bandage on. So is the potential Parkinson's going to be coming back now that the worms are no longer in him? And if that's the case, does that mean that it wasn't the spiders that really cured the Parkinson's? Maybe Boyd needs to get bit by some more freaking spiders to fully cure that Parkinson's. I don't know. But you think we'll see the spiders again, Rob?
Yeah, I think so. I'm secretly hoping for like a half spider, half human creature. That would just rock my world. That'd be so sick.
That would be pretty
like
cool.
like
That
Raven
would
has said, like
definitely
if they don't do anything with the spiders now, it just seems strange. Like why spend all that time setting up? At least like even if they're not going to do it, they've got to use it somehow. Like not to go to the spiders. Like they've got to wrap up that storyline or thread somehow. So I assume they will do spiders at some point.
Okay. And I think you're both right. I think it does make sense in terms of how heavily they have foreshadowed the spiders. I mean, for them to foreshadow them that much, and then for us to only get that one scene of Boyd getting bit by the spiders, it seems like that was a lot of foreshadowing for such a small scene. So yeah, I tend to agree that we'll probably see them again in some kind of manner. Plus all the webs out there in the woods. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are right. I'd be very surprised if we don't see some more spider action. But in terms of Martin's been another big question mark. We've all been wondering just what the heck is going on with this Martin creature, person. There's a lot of interesting theories surrounding the whole Martin thing. I'm not 100% sure where I land on any of them. I do see some of the evidence that some people have been pointing out in terms of Martin maybe not really actually being a person, that Martin being some kind of apparition, some kind of entity just to manipulate Boyd. And while I do kind of like that theory, I just can't get around the fact that this person, these entities, these worms that were inside Martin were really inside Martin. They really did transfer themselves to Boyd. And the one thing I always ask when it comes to Martin is, if this worm entity that was inside Martin was trapped here in this place, my question is, what the heck trapped the entity in the first place? That's what I want to know. I'm kind of more concerned with where this entity came from, who exactly trapped it in this place, as a little bit more than who Martin actually is. I get at the end of the day, I think Martin was just a vessel. I don't think we're actually learn anything more about Martin. Again, at least I would be surprised if we do get some kind of backstory for Martin. I feel like the Martin character is done on this story. I don't think we'll see him again. I just think he was a vessel at the end of the day, a vessel that was trapped in this place with these entities inside of him, waiting for someone to come around that he could pass it on to, maybe. But I don't know. I'm more concerned with who trapped this entity in the first place. I mean, if this entity was so powerful, managing to just completely manipulate and in some cases decimate people through their dreams, as we saw to poor Paula. So if this thing was that powerful, what exactly was strong enough to trap the entity in the first place? Because that's one thing I feel we do know definitively. The entity was trapped, and it needed Boyd to come around to free it. That much we kind of did get confirmed on the show. But we still don't know who put it there in the first place. Who trapped this freaking powerful entity? And
this scene you've got, the scene you've got is a great one too, because it raises all the questions. And I'm not even certain that we'll get answers to all this stuff, because there were two other skeletal bodies in there with Martin, and so we're led to assume that it was hosting those worms that kept him alive just long enough to to pass them on to Boyd, because then of course as soon as he did pass them on, Martin passed away. Then also that rope came down in one big pile. It showed the windlass over the top of the well. The rope was all spun up. But when it went down a rope, it actually kind of hit him. The coil of rope hit him. So, and I mean, I could just be nitpicking, and it could just be one of those things that they do in service of the plot. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot more of as the deeper we go with theory crafting and trying to make a mountain of a molehill, and like trying to add significance to every casual piece of speech.
The show does that to you, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I think we're going to see a lot of things in service of the plot. Very much like Tabitha finding Henry's address inside the lunchbox. It cut through a lot of red tape. They could have spent 2 episodes wandering her around Camden, Maine, and finding dead end after dead end, and then finally getting there. But I think I think they were listening to the criticisms of season 2 a little bit and really wanted to amp up the pace. And it does feel like, I mean, even a lot of stuff is happening, even though only a small amount of time elapsed in this last episode, a small amount of the evening, a few hours of time passed. A lot of stuff happened in that little stretch of time. And and they still, again, they have so many characters they have to address and push forward in the plot. Just like the hut scene, the Cannibal Village scene, they're obligated kind of to at least check in with each different character and kind of give them something, to move it forward.
Okay, interesting.
But I think they're. But honestly, I think they're going to be focusing on driving the plot forward, and I'm sure there's going to be surprises and twists and turns and stuff for us still. But I think they're not putting 80 layers of it's not a parfait of secrets and hidden meanings and messages and stuff. I don't think we'll ever find out about that stinking rope. Yeah, I think it just.
No, I
think it fell.
Yeah,
that's it.
I do agree with you to a certain extent on some of these things, like some of these kind of more minor mysteries that maybe we as audience and as fans would definitely love to get the answer to, like you mentioned, like with the rope. I think you're right. At this point, I would be surprised if we ever actually get a definitive answer as to how Martin threw that freaking rope down to Boyd if he's strapped to a freaking wall. Many people thought it was the boy in white, and that could very well be. I just don't think we'll ever actually get like official confirmation of who exactly dropped the rope down. But who knows? Maybe we will. When it comes to the whole layer thing, I do think that the writers kind of specifically throw some things into the show, whether it's in the foreground or in the background, sometimes maybe just to throw us off, little red herrings in there, maybe little things that, might not really go anywhere. But in terms of like some of the bigger, foreshadowing mysteries, those I do think we will get answers to by the end, in terms of like the big ones, like how the monsters were created, what Fromville really is, things like that, like who the boy in white really is, like the bigger answers. I definitely am confident we'll get answers to those by the time the series is over. But some of the smaller ones, I wouldn't be surprised if they leave a few things maybe a little ambiguous. Sometimes it's good to leave a few things ambiguous too. You don't want to just spoil everything right at the onset. If we do get answers to everything, I'm hoping they come, a little bit towards the end, because I feel like the mystery aspect of the show, for me personally, I know a lot of people definitely want answers and they want them now, and I totally understand that. I mean, we are into season 3 already, so you definitely want some answers to start coming around. But just for me personally, I'm not in the biggest rush to get answers, just because I'm really enjoying the ride that is From, whether it's the setting, the characters, the phenomenal acting we are getting from this cast. I'm really just enjoying living in the moment from episode to episode. So I'm not really in such a big rush to get answers, although I definitely want them eventually. I mean, obviously. But yeah, I'm enjoying where the show is going. I'm enjoying what the show did up until this point, and I do think we have a very interesting future for From, not only over the course of these next 6 episodes in season 3, but on the future of the show as well. Because again, I'd be very surprised if we don't get a season 4 and beyond. But yeah, at the very least, looking forward to seeing where these last 6 episodes go. Based on some of the synopsis and some of the episode titles for the rest of season 3, it does look like we are going to get some kind of big revelations towards the end. I mean, heck, the last 2 episodes in the season are named Revelations Part 1 and Part 2. So yeah, I get the feeling we're going to get something big by the end of the season, like one of those big answers that the fandom has really wanted for a very long time. And me personally, I think we will ultimately find out the true fate of Eloise this season. If she's still alive, if she really died back in 1978 during the massacre, is she still living in the forest somewhere? Is she really Tabitha? All the theories that are out there. I do think we will definitively get an answer for Eloise this season. Regardless of what that answer is, I do think we will at least get that this season, and hopefully some other stuff too. But yeah, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I very much appreciate you. We also have a member for 15 months from Jen Hack. Thank you so much, Jen. Yeah, someone give Fatima a straw. Yes.
Just quickly on the rope thing, it may be as simple as it was set up that as soon as someone entered that well, that the rope was going to automatically drop down anyway, because
Automatically
magic.
drop down eventually?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, who knows? I mean, weirder shit has happened on this show than that, I suppose. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess.
And that whole conversation, though, are you real? Are you real?
Are you real? It was good. It was a good scene. Thank you so much, Jen Hack, for being a member. And yes, someone throw Fatima a dang straw already. Just she can start slurping down on these dead bodies. We got Sarah for a 149 super sticker as well. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the super sticker. Let me scroll up and see what the super sticker was. I got to see it. It's a slice of pie. Yes. And we know Fatima is having her very own brand of her slice of pie as well. So yes, thank you so much, Sarah, for the super sticker. And yes, I've been getting some requests for Jasper emojis lately as well. I see you, Mother of Dragons, and I definitely hear you. Yes, we've been getting some requests to get a Jasper emoji, a doll, a puppet emoji. Now that it looks like that puppet's going to play a pretty significant part, at least in this season. So I will make that happen. We will have the puppet emoji up before our next stream, which is either this Friday or Saturday. So I will definitely make that happen. I've been getting a few requests for the old puppet emoji. And we also have Dana Marie, who has gifted a membership, not one, 2 gifted memberships. Wow, thank you so much, Dana. Very much appreciate you. Oh, and Jason H also gifted a membership. Wow, thank you so much, guys. Incredibly generous of you. This Fromily is absolutely awesome. I can't thank all of you enough for all of the support you guys show us. You're the best. This is the absolute best fandom out there. I can't thank you all enough. But thank you so much, and I owe you guys a whoa.
Yeah, thank you for the gifted memberships, and congratulations to the recipients. You are now the proud possessors of the Dale emoji, and then a bunch of other random ones. The Dale one's the one that matters.
The Dale one might be the only one that matters now. This is true. The Dale emoji's become quite a popular one, which, hey, the chat wants a Dale emoji. You guys got the Dale emoji. No problemo. No problemo. And a clip that I probably will never get rid of. It's burned into my psyche, and it's one of my favorite lines from this line might go down in history as just as infamous as Jade's box line that we get in season 1, and that, of course, is this phenomenal gem.
This is a really bad idea. There's nothing else strong enough to pry that trap open. You really want to start pulling apart the ancient tower of holy scary shit?
I'm sure whoever built it won't mind.
Oh, Jesus. Fuck.
I love how he just bolts, man. Yeah.
Just takes off, yeah. Takes off. What about a Tien Chen emoji? A Tien Chen emoji we could do. Yeah, okay. Okay, we could do a Tien Chen. Yeah, in honor of the lost but never forgotten Tien Chen. I can make that happen. Yeah. All right. Tien Chen and Jasper the puppet. Okay. I think we got some requests for a Randall emoji as well. So I'll swap out 3. And we'll add those 3. We're pretty close to almost adding a new emoji as is, especially at the rate that people have become members and have been gifting memberships lately, which has been so freaking generous. We're almost close to unlocking another emoji slot, because that's how the custom emojis work on YouTube. Apparently, the more memberships a channel gets, the more spaces you get to unlock for more emojis. I guess that's just how it works. I guess there's no other way to unlock more emoji spaces. You just have to wait for the memberships to come in. Because I looked into it. I looked in to see if there was a way I could maybe purchase more emoji slots or do some kind of thing to upgrade that I could get just more emoji slots without people having to throw memberships in. And apparently there's no other way to unlock those. But yes, okay, puppet emoji, Randall emoji, and Tien Chen emoji. I will make a note and we will make that happen. We shall make that happen. But thank you guys. Thank all of you for the gifted memberships and the super chats. You guys are absolutely freaking rock stars. And let's dive into it. Let's dive into this, shall we? Now, I want to hear from you guys in the chat and from my awesome co-hosts up here on panel as well. What scene stuck out for you the most in episode 4, or is there a particular part of episode 4 that you're looking forward to the storyline continuing? What was the kind of big oh shit moment that you went away walking away from the episode? I mean, I know the Fatima and the Randall definitely kind of come to mind at, in the forefront, just considering the crazy cliffhanger the episode ends on and that crazy reveal of Fatima, slurping down on human juice. But are there any other scenes that kind of stuck out to you guys from this episode in particular? What about you, Raven? Or anything that you particularly enjoyed? Any kind of performances you particularly enjoyed?
Man, well, I did enjoy, I know it was kind of a downbeat moment, kind of a slow moment, just a little heart-to-heart talk that Christy and Kenny had, and that I've been so impressed with Ricky He this season. He did the high intensity emotions, the crying. He pulled it off better than probably anybody. But then he also did just the kind of, he had just this like wistful kind of reminiscent attitude as he was thinking about his mom and writing, and according to his tradition that he mentioned on there. And I think the almost the dialogue with him and Christy was really secondary to me. It was really for him another display of him really pulling it off. I think a lot of people were reading deeply into her saying, "Again, you'll not be alone." So I mean, once is a once is a, what do they say? Once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, and 3 times is enemy action. So I think she might be not long for this world. I thought for sure she had plot armor. I thought Christy was secure.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to question that. But I mean, and this is fully removing the powerful Victor scene, the obvious cliffhanger with Randall, and then the super creepy stuff with Fatima. It was so cool though. I liked how again, my prediction again was wrong. I thought for sure during the mop-up scene, the cleanup scene that featured Nikki mopping up the crow blood, I thought for sure we'd get a camera pan across and see those. And it makes me wonder, because early on, I'm always suspicious. I'm always suspicious of the things that they do when they present 2 things in one. One thing like kind of downbeat, and then one thing like full of action. And I thought, well, here's a crow. Here's Elgin sleeping on this couch with a crow on his shirt. And this is a dude that's guaranteed proven that he can bring things from his dreams into reality. I was like, maybe that crow had more to do with Elgin than it did with those tarot cards. I think they might have they kind of dismissed those tarot cards. And then I thought, well, no, there's no way they would have given Tilly all that screen time and build up talking about these cards and invest in them. But they've done that with Bacta as well. They gave her a little backstory and then put her on the back burner for a minute, and then they bring her back. So it may just be literally just registering these characters. I was joking about the diner scene with Bacta in the last episode was almost like a proof of life. She just needed today's paper next to her face to prove she's still alive. But she had some pretty, she had a quick line here kind of dressing down Tilly about bringing those tarot cards in there. So it's clearly, at least as far as Bach is concerned, not something that she's going to be super tolerant of. And, then Tilly playing the doddering old, what they call it, kooky batty Tilly, like, oh, I never thought it would be a problem. So I don't know if we're going to see them again. That might have been the writers just, again, dismissing a theory. Because we've had them dismiss the simulation theory, we've had them dismiss the mole theory. If not dismiss it, directly address it by a character in the show, whether it's Randall, whether it's Jim, whether it's whoever, the experiment theory. And I almost feel like by saying it out loud, and God forbid the pocket dimension theory or pocket universe, I think by having a character say it, they kind of like lower our guard in believing that it's true, because they're not going to reveal, this early in the series, are they going to reveal what the ultimate answer to this whole show is? No possible way, except for Dale, which we've talked about that too.
They might have already revealed it. Yeah,
such a goofy character that you automatically dismiss him. And he's 5'6" in real life. He's not a tall dude. He's kind of he looks exactly what he is, and they've written him as a complete pain in the butt, which is hilarious. And one of the few ways, I mean, he's kind of a curmudgeon, kind of a pain, but he's not always wrong. But the way his delivery is so abrasive that people just naturally kind of like pull back from him. Even he's counting the veggies as they're loading them up. He's like, is that all there is? And he's sitting there munching on a green bean, leaning on the porch. It's like that's picture perfect, man. These guys, a lot of the nonverbal stuff, a lot of the mannerisms and stuff. And I'll let you do Victor on that, because he was superb in this one. Scotty McCord, that's when you play somebody with that kind of like developmental problem, it could probably be difficult to portray it, because you tend to fall into a groove and maybe be one dimensional, but not this dude, man. He's got it spot on. But anyway,
it's so good, man. And that was one of my highlights of the episode, just personally. And that's why, I guess that's why one of the reasons I'm not like in a huge like rush to get answers, just because I'm just really loving these actors' performances. Like seeing Scott McCord hop into this character of Victor. And again, I know I've mentioned this in the past, but I would love to know some of the influences that he's drawn on to kind of craft this character. Again, it's not like he's just good at delivering some dialogue like a kid would. He fully kind of just completely transforms into this character of Victor. And I would love to get like a little bit of an insight as to how he exactly does that. Did he research anything in particular about trauma or developmental disabilities or anything like that? Like, what exactly was his process for crafting this character of Victor? Whatever it was, it's absolute genius. And he really does put on a master class in acting every single episode. And again, not just from the dialogue and from how he delivers lines, but you look at his mannerisms, his body language, his facial expressions, all of it. The dude is just, I mean, from the little twitches he does, the little nervous tics that someone like with trauma or high anxiety would do. He's got this freaking character down to a T. And I would love to know kind of some of the things that went into crafting that, just like inside of his head. Is there anything that he draws on for inspiration? But I really enjoyed the Victor scenes personally. I thought we got some interesting reveals for Christopher as well. We're finally finding out a little bit more about Christopher and this puppet, which a lot of the fandom already kind of had a feeling that this puppet may have belonged to Christopher at one point, and we did get that confirmation that that was indeed the case. But now the question is, like I mentioned on our last stream, where exactly did this puppet come from? Was this a puppet that Christopher brought with him to Fromville? Was it something he had in his car when he got stuck here? Or did he find this puppet already in Fromville after he gets stuck here? That is what I want to know, because again, looking at this puppet, it's definitely seeming like it is some kind of cursed object, some kind of possessed object. Is there something possessing this doll, or is there something trapped inside this doll, some kind of entity that maybe wants out? Or some other people were suggesting, which I thought was pretty interesting as well, that maybe there's some kind of entity using this doll as some kind of conduit in which it can communicate with people. That's one thing we've seen on the show up until this point. These entities don't really have a physical form. They're kind of out there, ethereal. The only one that can even attempt to communicate with them is Sarah. So does this entity kind of inhabit this puppet every once in a while in order to communicate and manipulate people in some kind of way? Or is it actually trapped inside that puppet for, forever and it wants out? Again, I want to learn a little bit more about this Jasper character. What exactly is going on with it? What exactly role is it going to play going forward? But what role did it play in the past as well? Because it definitely seems like this Jasper puppet entity thing, whatever it is, definitely seems like it's not only closely tied to Christopher, but potentially had a hand in the 1978 massacre as well. Like, was this the actual mastermind of the 1978 massacre? And is that why we see Christopher and this puppet arguing? Was Christopher trying to resist this puppet's manipulation and ultimately fell under his control? And it's very interesting. It's an interesting dichotomy, if nothing else, between Christopher and the puppet, where Christopher kind of starts off as the puppet master. You know, he's the one controlling the puppet, making the town laugh, yada yada. Now all of a sudden, complete role reversal where the puppet has become the puppet master. So it's an interesting kind of reversal of fortune between Christopher and this puppet, how everything might have ultimately played out. But that's what I want to learn going forward in terms of what I want to learn most after seeing episode 4. Yes, give me more Jasper. And are we going to find out, or are we going to see in episode 5 or in a later episode, will we see Victor descend down into those caves again and look for Jasper? Because apparently Victor is now under the assumption that Jasper can give him the answers that he needs in terms of fully remembering everything that he's forgotten. And the last time Victor saw this puppet was down there in those caves. Same thing with Jade. Jade saw the puppet down in the caves as well. So I'm starting to wonder, will we see Victor and maybe even Victor and Jade together, or Sarah along with them? Will we see them dive down into those caves and look for this puppet? And then another thing that I remembered was a scene from season 1, actually going all the way back to the very first vision that Jade ever had down in the root cellar. We start to notice that the scream that is coming out of this puppet, which we've heard 2 different times now, whether it was in this episode or whether it was in a previous episode in season 2 when Jade has a vision of this puppet and the puppet looks at him and screams. We have heard a very, very similar, if not the same scream before.
Holy shit. What the fuck?
Yep. So the escape room, that was when the escape room escaped out of Jade's brain.
Yes, indeed. But tell me that scream doesn't sound eerily similar to this scream that we're now hearing come from this puppet, not once but twice. I mean, and is there some kind of connection between the two? I don't know. I want to learn a lot more about this Jasper character, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. See, and I was kind of, I just felt that there wasn't enough information about him, about Jasper, as far as like, was he there ahead of time, or was Christopher already a ventriloquist and brought him in? But boy, listening to just from that clip that you played, where Jasper goes like hi Victor or whatever, it sounded like a somebody who's not a ventriloquist trying to keep their lips still, trying to keep their lips not moving while they're trying. Yeah. Yeah, the T, they didn't get the T well. They haven't practiced.
Yeah, not very not a pro. Not a pro. That's a good point, actually. Is that an indication that he didn't bring this thing in here with him, that he maybe did find it here and he just kind of thought this could be a way to entertain the town? That's actually a good tidbit, Ravener.
Well, I mean, we've heard with Sarah that the spirits were waiting for somebody that could hear them, and then she came. And that might be maybe Jasper was waiting for somebody that could hear him, and Christopher happened to be the lucky guy.
Why the hell would you pick up a doll with? I mean, talk about the creepiest things you can mess around with. It's worse than having like a pet spider on your hand. I mean, it's just go, dude.
Yeah.
Well, they're touching every nerve, man. Yeah, the writers are touching every nerve. You know, arachnophobia, worm phobia, cicadas crawling in your mouth, man. You know, we know cicadas are harmless, but they are gross AF. They're just disgusting. Nobody's favorite insect is the cicada. 0% of people
Yeah. And it gives you that locust vibe too, like the way they're kind of flying around in these big swarms. It gives you that kind of biblical vibe that this is a plague of locusts descending on the town. And and we've gotten so many kind of biblical references that are just sprinkled all throughout the show, whether it's the Khatri theory in season 1 that he thought that they were actually living the 74th book of Revelations, and that's why there's no Bibles in town, because the Bible isn't technically complete yet, which is, I don't think that's the case, but it was an interesting kind of theory from Khatri, and just more kind of biblical references spread throughout the show. We see the very interesting depiction that Ellis painted of him and Fatima as Adam and Eve inside the Garden of Eden. So yeah, we're seeing all these incredibly profound biblical references spread all over the show, along with many others. That's the thing. You look at these references and you think maybe there's something going on there, but then you see all of the other, kind of nods to other mythologies and other faiths and religions that they're throwing into the show as well. And it's like a melting pot of all of these different cultures and mythologies. And I get the feeling that's probably just the writers drawing off multiple different influences. I don't think there's any kind of one mythology out there that's going to explain everything that's happened on the show. I get the feeling they're more kind of taking influence from a bunch of different mythologies. But yeah, it's interesting to see some of these biblical references and if they're going to mean anything or if they're just kind of smoke and mirrors.
Feels like it's going to be like ancient Lovecraftian to me,
I hope so. I really hope that's where it's heading. We were talking about this the other night, and you actually brought up a pretty interesting conversation you were on here last time, Rob, in terms of, we always talk about, like, what do we think is going to happen here? What do we think the ultimate game is? Is it this? Is it that? But you brought up, an interesting question as to what is the one ending you don't want it to be. And for me, it's always going to be simulation. That's the one ending I really don't want to see. Everything we're seeing on this show, all of the mystical and supernatural aspects, if it turns out that this is all just one giant simulation and we can explain all of this magical stuff away just with a simple computer program, that is really going to cheapen the mystery and the magic of the show overall. So for me, I really don't want this to be a simulation explanation. But other than that, I'm completely wide open. I still don't really know what this thing is and where it's going to be going. It definitely seems like we're moving closer and closer into that definitive supernatural kind of territory. And I hope that's where we ultimately go. I mean, there could be some sci-fi thrown in there as well. And who knows, maybe all of this is sci-fi. Who knows? But I'm hoping that we're heading into the supernatural. It seems like we're seeing more, at least the most evidence for supernatural things more than anything else.
Yeah, I think Fatima's where they took. Yeah, there you go. Perfect screenshot. Fatima's where they took the step in that direction. I think. We did, and I think we mentioned this on Sunday. People had danced around the logical, the realistic, the real world possibilities. Well, it could be Pika. This is the reason why she's eating the rotted stuff, or it could be something else. And I know people in the chat will say, "Well, that wasn't Pika. I was pregnant and I ate something, but it wasn't." And I know, I get it. No, believe me, I said that Pika would have been the worst cop out if they tried a logical solution. It's like when you think it's when a writer thinks they're smarter than the audience and they want to go like, I tricked you. But they didn't go this way. They had her chowing down on, now that we've got two different instances of dead things. So for me, this puts it firmly in the supernatural. Whatever it is that's growing in her could be is supernatural. It's eating on things that are deceased, that are decayed, that are at least no longer almost. Well, the thing is, our hamburgers are no longer living too, but what we're saying though. They're kind of things that are no longer things that are not food, and typically humans should not be food either, except in extreme
she's drinking human blood, for crying out loud. Yeah, this is not normal. There's no Pika in the world that can explain what we're seeing here. And I agree with you. I definitely think this is leaning a little bit. Again, we're seeing more evidence for supernatural occurrences here than anything else, I feel.
I liked your idea though, initially, that the town actually killed off the veggies to provide her a food source. I was right along with everybody else who thought, okay, half the veggie, Donna flat out said half the veggies got killed in the storm. Okay, that increases the stress, the famine stress, the how do we feed everybody stress. And then a little bit of time elapses, and then now there's a blight. Oh shit, that's a 1-2 punch. I thought it was just the town was kind of like stringing the townsfolk along, not taking all their hope away in one shot, but a little bit. Like peaks and valleys. And then another rug pull. Oh my god, now we have no veggies. Everything that we thought we had, we don't. And I thought I was going right along with that because that was the direction they led us in. And that's one thing with these writers with this show. I'm content. I have enough faith in these guys. They've done well enough to earn my trust that I'll let them tell me a story. It ain't going to be the story that I would tell. I mean, I'll let them try to trick me and lead me this way. Oh, yeah, you got me. Absolutely, you got me. But I think you were spot on, man. I think the reason for that blight was to provide Fatima something, because she wouldn't have naturally stumbled upon some rotted, they could write anything, of course, but and
there's no rotten food anywhere else in the entirety of Fromville that we can tell. Like, we see not too far away, we're seeing Jim and Kenny find perfectly grown food that is fine. It seems to only be in that little patch of land that became corrupted and poisoned, for as Donna put it. So it just, I thought it was I didn't think that at first. I was right there with you and the rest of the fandom. Like, just after season 2 alone, I thought that was just another thing that the town was taking away from them. We keep seeing the conditions in this town get worse and worse and worse as they continue to break the rules. And then, with whether it's the cold weather coming in, the food kind of being scarce, I thought it was just another consequence of their actions. I was right there with everybody else. But as soon as I saw this in season 3, as soon as I saw her chomping down on that rotten food, I instantly thought, okay, that rotten food was put there specifically for Fatima. Who knows, what else are they going to, if that's the case, what else are they going to specifically put there for Fatima? Is there something that is guiding this pregnancy or this transformation that Fatima is going through? Is she ultimately under the control or influence of something else? Like, what exactly is happening to her, and what is causing this to happen to her, I guess, is the question.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, I mean, she's taking little licks of the blood and stuff, but if they resume what the action in episode 5 within daylight, she's still got to come out of that room, and she's got to make sure she doesn't have blood on her mouth or anything else
left on her chin.
Yeah, it's ironic though that Fatima was also peripheral to the other kind of rug pull where they kind of lead us in a direction, because I was right there, and I'm talking about the kimono lady. The only person we'd seen in a kimono was Fatima. So we see a person in a kimono. Doesn't matter that she's a desiccated corpse looking freaky thing in somebody's nightmare vision. All that goes to the side. The kimono, the long hair. Okay, well, we're going to make that connection to Fatima. Now, I think this season, the two appearances, or what I think, have we seen her twice this season, or just
more?
One? I think more. Okay. In my mind, it dispels Fatima. I mean, I think Fatima has nothing to do with that creature. And actually, I think Scarlet Fever was the one, at least the first one to introduce to me the idea that it was essentially there are various kinds of spirit women. There was La Llorona in Hispanic and indigenous kind of folklore. There's banshees, washerwoman kind of thing. Like, there's female spirits in one way or another in these folklores that have to do with water, being by the side of water, and there's different stories involved, but there is also a Japanese version of that kind of spirit. And I think going back to what you're saying regarding biblical influences, I think, and I think Scarlet Fever was one who brought this up too, that they're really kind of like doing a catch-all, and it's like the writers are deliberately taking all these influences And we've seen the
multiple
Norse
cultures,
runes on the talismans. We've seen tons of Native American
the
type
Native American aspect.
symbolism and whatnot, and even the totems and whatnot can be. And now we have something that's almost undeniably Japanese. And this lady, they even cast the Shuaxin Fu, even though she's got prosthetics and CGI over her face. I think this is going to be undeniably a Japanese influence. So whatever it is that's drawing these things in, and I think this is a good. I said it Sunday. I think the kimono spirit is one of the few beneficial, or at least the most undeniably beneficial beings, that are approaching and stuff. That they have access to in this world. I mean, the boy in white is kind of on the fence. You can arguably good or bad. I mean, she flat out said, "Help me." So I'm interested to see what she says.
What exactly does she need help for?
I think she was either a human or an entity, and she was drowned by another entity in water, is what I'm going with. And I reckon that's how it's going to play out.
I think she was human, personally. I mean, maybe she was, and maybe she was some kind of entity, but I'm definitely leaning a little bit more towards this is a former human member of Fromville, maybe someone that was stuck here during a past timeline, a past cycle, and maybe she was killed, and maybe she is kind of stuck in this kind of in-between cursed state, and maybe she needs Elgin's help to break whatever kind of curse that is keeping her in this limbo-like state. Maybe she ultimately just wants help to move on to the next life, kind of thing. That's kind of where I'm leaning, but who knows? I mean, who knows what's going on with this thing? Definitely a clear indication that it has something to do with water. I mean, whether it's her hair or her hands, every time we see her, she's either wet or is it associated with water every time we've seen her so far. So, I definitely am leaning a little bit more towards this being some kind of, former human of maybe Fromville that died in some kind of horrific manner, and is, for some, for lack of a better term, kind of stuck in this state, and maybe she needs help moving on. But thank you so much, Mother. Sorry,
go.
I just want to say thank you so much for Mother of Dragons for the super sticker. I very much appreciate you. And it looks like it was the briefcase super sticker. Yes, we still need to learn a little bit more about the briefcase. Not only the briefcase that Victor had, which we got a little bit more context for, but we also have that very interesting suitcase that Tabitha and Victor find down in the caves as well in season 2 when they're first down there, which we still have no idea what that was about. I believe she finds a wedding dress inside of it. A lot of weird suitcase action on the show. But no, the suitcase scene in this episode was pretty interesting, and we're definitely going to dive into that one as well. But I can't wait to find out what this thing really is. But in terms of is this thing Fatima related? I don't think it's Fatima related anymore. And I was in the camp that I very much thought it was Fatima related when it first popped up. Because like you said, Raven, or the imagery, Fatima is the first thing that kind of pops into your mind in terms of are there any other similarities between this thing and other characters we've seen? And Fatima had tons of similarities with it, from the same kind of robe, from the same hair, from even down to like the facial structure and the pronounced cheekbones and everything. It looked a lot like it could be some kind of desiccated version of Fatima. And then when we saw this happening with this whole pregnancy, I even thought, could it potentially be that that's what this pregnancy is turning Fatima into? Is it just draining and sucking all the life out of her? But no, cool. I'm starting to lean. It would be cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And who knows, that maybe still could be the case. Very well could be possible. This thing could be Fatima related. But I am, as you mentioned, Ravener, I'm a little bit leaning more towards this being a little bit more of an Elgin specific storyline, and it's not really going to have much to do with Fatima anymore. And I do think they specifically went out and cast an Asian actress for the role in season 3, maybe to further move away from the whole Fatima thing, maybe. But yeah, I think this is going to be Elgin's storyline for him to figure out. I don't think this is really Fatima related anymore. But again, I could be wrong. I very much could be wrong.
And she's a little more plumped up, barely. She's not that mannequin dummy thing that they used in season 1 at the end of season 1. She's a little more plumped up. She looks like when when your fingers get pruny from being in the water. Her just entire self is pruny.
Yeah, after being in the water for like a century, maybe. That's like, yeah, like a little bit more than your average one-stage prune. But no, what an episode indeed. And what is up, Tug? Awesome to see you, my friend. I'm glad you're enjoying the season. And yeah, this was a great episode. I was saying earlier, episode 3 was it wasn't a slow episode, but I felt like episode 3 was a little bit more of a setup episode in terms of setting some interesting storylines to play out this episode, which it did. So episode 4, this might be my favorite episode of the season so far, even in terms of everything we have got from, Fatima taking that freaking next level step to going again, full on Donner Party, full on Lord of the Flies. Fatima is heading into. And some of the revelations we got through Victor in terms of this cursed or possessed demonic like puppet that was maybe influencing Christopher, that maybe even had a hand in facilitating the entire 1978 massacre, to the awesome cliffhanger that ends the episode off on with friggin' Randall being dumped onto that ambulance. I really enjoyed this episode, and yeah, I think this was probably my favorite one of season 3 so far. But welcome, Tug. Awesome to see you in the chat, my friend. I hope you are doing well.
I've just got a question on Kimono Lady.
Oh, please.
You know how we had Music Box Entity and Boyd killed the Music Box with fire, and obviously Kimono Lady's got water or something to do with water. Do we think there's like a fire and water play, or it's just coincidence that those two things?
Elgin was sniffing out a body of water. That's the first thing he asked. Was it Fatima when she was proxying him? He's looking for a body of water. He's being drawn to it and was not satisfied with. Was he disappointed? I can't remember his demeanor.
He was very satisfied just seeing the Brundles. No, it almost seemed like there was a little bit more to it than that. Because even after he saw the Brundles, he starts seeing this thing, and that's literally pushing him underwater the first time we see him. Which I'm starting to think that this thing pushed him under the water just to wake him up before whatever was coming from him through that music box vision. So I am starting to get the feeling that this thing might be actually not trying to harm Elgin, that it does need help. But yeah, it definitely seems like Elgin's storyline was very specifically tied to water. As soon as he got here, he had some kind of dream, some kind of vision of water, and that's the first thing, as you mentioned, he asked Fatima.
And it's not the motel pool, and it's not the Brundles. So although I'm still convinced that there's people in the chat are saying it too, man. Dredge the Brundles, man.
Dredge the Brundles. Yes. And I even threw this in my episode 4 breakdown video, and I had to give Ravener credit for it because it was Ravener's original theory, that maybe the Brundles are filled with dead bodies. And we get that interesting kind of Easter egg in this episode in terms of Victor. Apparently he was, he was either too young or just too emotionally distraught to even attempt to bury these bodies after this massacre happened. So the boy in white tells him to bury their personal possessions, things that were most precious to them, which of course is, we finally get the reveal as to what is actually in that suitcase. Yeah. But that begs the question, what exactly happened to these bodies and where did they go? Did the boy in white bury them himself? I don't think so. I mean, I get the feeling the dogs might have had something to do with this.
Yeah, they had to eat too.
In the scene. Yeah, I mean, did the dogs?
No, they dragged them away. Yeah.
No, they could have eaten them. I mean, that's certainly plausible as well. Did these dogs eat up all these friggin' bodies? Maybe, who knows? These certainly aren't normal dogs. I feel like we've definitively established that, at least, that these are not normal, alive, breathing dogs. We see these same dogs in the 1978 massacre that are around in Fromville today. No dog lives that long, obviously. So these dogs definitely seem to be a little bit more like the boy in white, like there's some kind of spirit, stuck in that kind of state.
Yeah. Like
so I'm wondering, like an ageless dog kind of thing, a spirit dog, a spirit animal, basically. But what did these dogs potentially have a hand in burying these bodies? Was it these dogs that dragged these bodies off and buried them? Or did they drag them off and dump them into the Brundles? Are we actually going to see that Ravener was right the whole time and there was freaking a whole whole graveyard at the bottom of the Brundles? So yeah, drag the lake, find out what's down there, and now even drag the other lake that Kenny found as well. And someone mentioned in the chat, Snuggie even, maybe Elgin needs to see that lake, and maybe that's the case. Yes, we know Elgin, that's the first thing he asks about when he gets here is some kind of water. But maybe Fatima didn't show him the right water. Maybe Elgin needs to see some other body of water that might trigger, another part of the dream that he still doesn't remember. Because I still get the feeling there's still some things in Elgin's head that he needs to remember, that he needs to unlock. That was pretty much a theme for him in season 2, where he could kind of just, remembering that it was like right there on the edge, but he couldn't fully remember the entire dream until the end of season 2, where he finally remembers that the boy in white came to him telling him the nursery rhyme. But I get the feeling there might be some more stuff that Elgin has still yet to remember. And it seems like that's a very much a reoccurring theme on the show. Characters forgetting very prominent things in some cases, especially in the case of Victor, and maybe even in the case of Tabitha. People are definitely forgetting some interesting and very important things here. So do you think there might be some more stuff that Elgin might have to kind of remember from that dream that he first saw upon entering Fromville? I feel like there's more there.
Yeah, I don't think it was just that nursery rhyme. And to be fair, I'll tell you guys, I'll admit again, when you've seen, when you've seen horror shows and mystery box shows a million times, there's tropes that reappear and reappear. And the minute I saw a murky body of water, I mean, we saw that in Lord of the Rings, when he was going through the swamp. What the Brundles reminded me of is actually Poltergeist, the old Poltergeist from the 80s. Where and that was just there's a rainstorm and things flooded and all these coffins floated up. They said they moved the headstones, but they didn't move the coffins in the graveyard, and then built homes up over it. That was why all this stuff happened, and that was just so evocative. And that's what these guys do. I know these screenwriters, and that's why I trust them so much, because it seems like they've got a broad experience in. They've seen a lot of different shows, and they acknowledge the tropes. They know what the tropes are, and they know, like you said, and there's no shame in the game thinking that it was Fatima, because every bit of information that we had led us to that conclusion, even though it wasn't, we were going off of incomplete information. This one too, I did the exact same thing. I made the logical leap that, it made the impression on me. It was that scene, the murky body of water where people are just, it could have been a million things. It could have been piranhas. It could have been sharks. It could have been crocodiles. You see a murky body of water that people are splashing and tubing and floating around in, all happy. 3 feet under that surface that there's something down there that you don't want to see.
There's going to be something down there, something nasty. And speaking of something nasty, we got some awesome more super stickers in the chat from Wolverine Fan. Thank you so much, Wolverine Fan, for the super sticker. And number one, hey, you guys are number one. You guys in the chat are definitely number one. And we got $5 from that umbrella guy himself. Wow, thank you so much, Tug. That's incredibly generous of you, my friend. Thank you for the support. My favorite part of season 3 so far is how it treats the monsters. It took everything we thought we understood about them, the rules, and changed them. Abso-freaking-lutely. I am so glad that the monsters have come back in a really big, epic fashion this season. Because, yeah, I mean, we feel like we start to get a handle on these monsters from season 1 and season 2. But then towards the end of season 2, the cicada entity thing definitely kind of came to the forefront and was kind of playing that main villain role in season 2. And the monsters didn't take a back seat, but the monsters weren't as the immediate threat anymore. They were kind of, the immediate threat was these cicadas and that entity thing. Mm-hmm. But now that we're back in season 3, yes, these monsters have come back in such an epic fashion, and it does seem like they're starting to evolve. Like they are starting to change their tactics. I mean, they're becoming even more clever than they were before, and they were always pretty smart. But now they're out there laying deliberate traps, like pretty clever traps too. Like to have the foresight to go out there, let the animals out, knowing that it's going to draw Boyd and potentially other people's outside, just to lay an ambush. Incredibly genius. And then we see another ambush in this episode where we see the one monster laying in the road waiting for the ambulance to come around. These things are getting smarter and smarter. They're changing their tactics, and they're getting scarier, and I cannot wait to see where that goes. Like, hell yeah, give me more monsters.
Yeah, he's right though, because you look at shows like The Walking Dead, once they figure out how the zombies work, the show just becomes boring. So the fact that they're changing it, it keeps it interesting.
And all we'd seen in like season 1, they were basically opportunistic. It did, Jasmine played the long con on Kevin to get him to open the window for Colony House Massacre. But other than that, they seem to be mostly opportunistic, just kind of present in the evening, waiting for somebody to get caught unawares, with probably apparently very little success for 96 days prior to Frank getting too drunk and Megan opening the window. But yeah, this one, nothing even close to, trapping Boyd and Tin Chin was one thing, but this thing laying in the road and playing possum, that is a thing. And we actually saw them stand down. Not only were they kind of written secondarily in season 2, but we saw them like when they were approaching the RV, and then you hear the bang, whatever trumped them in power, whatever was the next level up above them, and we're assuming it was the cicada entity, they just backed off. And they literally just kind of walked away. There's like, oh, the boss is here. We can lay back and chill. And it's good to see them being, because they've all got a certain creepiness, and the makeup is perfect for them. We saw Milkman with blood on himself still, which is super cool. But they're talkative. The librarian, the librarian lady, talking to Randall.
Oh, sweetie. They don't work that way.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. But and that's what we needed so badly. We were saying all summer long, make the monsters great again. Yeah, make the monsters, and they're really coming into their own. They're really coming into their own, and in a menacing way. The other thing I do want to throw this in there before we continue on, and thank you, Tug. Awesome and I love doing it because with the super chats we really get to explore the topic and stuff. But man, the special effects, this is twice this year. Once on TNT, they love putting the special effects artists when they're making somebody. I mean, of course, when people are hollowed out and butchered, that's cool and gory. But the little stuff that gets in your mind, that doesn't look right. What got me was the flap of skin on Randall's face. And when Boyd was carrying Tian Chin, she's wrapped up in that blanket, but you see her leg, she's got a flap. And that it. There's something in our lizard brain where we see a flap of skin out of where it's supposed to be.
It's just so creepy.
I mean, you use the word visceral, and it really is. It hits you right in the, in the whatever that's part of your brain that connects to your spine. That just above breathing, you're just. When you have revulsion, it's the same thing that when we see snakes, we repel naturally because it's just something about it, man. And it's not a thought process.
It brings out that visceral feeling, like you said.
Yeah,
it's a perfect explanation. It's visceral, or as Jeremy says in the chat, it's a Randall jerky. Yeah.
How did the monsters know about the ambulance before everyone else? Are we just assuming that they were told by whatever's out there?
Exactly. Like how, because very much Randall even points that out in this episode. I mean, when him and Boyd are in the bus, which is actually another one of my favorite scenes of the episode. Him and Boyd on the bus. We got some really good scenes there. And not only just some great dialogue, but we finally got a really good insight into Randall and what really makes Randall tick. Some of his reasoning for how he acts the way he acts, at least. But then we find out that he has been studying these monsters' movements every single night. And he brings up a good point. I mean, everybody else is in their house. They got shades. They can draw the blinds. He's out there. He's just wide open and exposed. So he's seeing these monsters' movements every single night. But all of a sudden, this one night, they're not doing what they usually do. The nurse monster didn't come up to the bus and start humming like it usually does. He says there's one that usually sits on the swing. There's a couple that sits by the pool. These things have a natural kind of reoccurring pattern that they do every single night, apparently. Yet tonight, nothing, nowhere to be found. And as you mentioned, Rob, I think it's very much because they knew this ambulance was on the way and they were getting ready to set this ambush for this ambulance. But how do they know the ambulance was here? Which I guess goes back to the question, how the heck do they know everything they know to begin with? I mean, they seem to know all these people's names, in some cases, personal details about their lives. How are these monsters getting their information? I do get the feeling there's some kind of hive mind going on there, where if one learns something, they all know it. Like, it definitely seems like they're all kind of in unison. So I very much believe the hive mind theory is in play. But how exactly are they originally finding these things out? Are they themselves hearing and seeing all of this stuff directly? Or is something else seeing and hearing everything and feeding them the information? Again, I get the feeling they're not seeing everything themselves. If they were, nobody would ever be able to successfully hide from these things. If they were all seeing and all knowing, you just wouldn't be able to hide from them. And we see in this season alone, in episode 1, when Granny Monster gets into Ethan's house, Ethan and Julie go out the back door. They're hiding in a friggin' bush, a crappy bush at that, 10 feet away. And the Granny Monster can't find them anywhere. So clearly these monsters can't directly see and hear everything themselves. I think something else is is keeping this town and Fromville as a whole under some kind of surveillance, some other kind of entity, maybe Fromville itself, which I do think the whole place itself is sentient, is alive in some manner, has its own consciousness. Maybe that is what the real surveillance is, and it is feeding this information to these monsters, because again, they can't be seeing everything themselves, or nobody would ever be able to hide from them. And even before Boyd arrived, when they didn't have talismans, people used to successfully hide from these monsters every single night just by digging holes in the ground. So yeah, I don't think they're seeing everything themselves. I think they're being relayed information, and it's one of those instances where when one hears it, they all know it, like a hive mind.
And I think there's evidence in like, I wouldn't call it evidence, but there's inclination that it both good and bad, if you want to put them on two sides of a game or two sides of a struggle for power, the good and the bad, that they even have influence and awareness outside of Fromville in how the people are chosen. And we always go back to Khatri, hearing the voice of God to tell him to step down off of that bridge. In different cases and whatnot. And then, Khatri again was all by himself when he buried his satchel, and that was surveilled, and the town, the entity, was aware of that as well. I'm not sure but I think that might have been the good. And I mean, for all that we could tell, that was a good entity that was aware of that too, because that was the one that Michael Dietschy's mentioning it, voices in Sarah's head. Those voices in Sarah's head who kind of like possessed her and did the automatic writing where she drew that logo, I think those were the good ones. I think those were also at least either the ones or in service to the ones who chose Khatri as somebody to bring to Fromville in the first place. So and I'm still on the fence about the voice. Like we said many times, it was the voice on the radio seemed menacing, new stuff it couldn't possibly have known. But was it trying to be helpful, or was it making him aware of things that I still think it was bad? And that way, I guess we can go right to the the voices on the phone, huh? The Thomas, evil faux Thomas and the ambulance.
We can definitely dive into that too. Let's catch up with the chat a little bit. We got some awesome stuff down here. But yeah, I mean, but I mean, monsters knew about the ambulance, so did Thomas on the phone. Voices on the radio also seem to think they are all on the same team, and that could very well be the case where they're all kind of just working in unison. That the evil of this place all kind of just is in sync with it, for lack of better terms, maybe. Or maybe it's the man in yellow, as Woodrow brings up. Yeah, we still got to learn about this freaking man in yellow. I do get the feeling the man in yellow is going to be a character that we just haven't seen yet. But who knows? Who knows?
I kind of feel like the man in yellow is kind of feel like the man in yellow might be trapped or in prison somewhere.
Okay, maybe. And even as Tyler B brings up, the monsters they might be the low man on the totem pole. If all the other surrounding evidence we've heard is true, whether it's Martin talking about the monsters only being the tip of the spear, whether it's the potentially Boyd's dead wife Abby communicating with Sarah, telling him that there's worse things out here than the monsters might actually be just pawns, just like the humans are. So who knows? Also, why doesn't observing the monsters influence him like they do others? Yeah, we've been told repeatedly that people cover their windows and try to ignore them because they get in your head. Yes, and we see a really good instance of this right in the very first episode in the first season with Megan, where this thing was clearly not Megan's grandmother, yet it was able to influence Megan to make it believe it was her actual grandmother, hence opening the window. We hear that from Boyd in season 1, from Khatri in season 1. They make a pretty big emphasis on shutting your blinds. Keep your blinds drawn at night. Lock your windows. Keep your talisman up. The whole ritual. But no, Randall, he's out there in the wide open every single night, and yet he hasn't seemed to have been influenced by them in any weird way. Even in Randall's very first night in season 2, the first night he spends in the bus, when all of the monsters come right up to the bus, and he just shows no fear. And maybe that's an aspect of it. Maybe it's the fear thing they play on. Maybe the more afraid the human is, the more easier they are to influence in those ways. So maybe when Randall first saw all of these monsters coming up to the bus at night, and he kind of shows no fear, at that point, I mean, he wasn't really showing any fear because he didn't really understand the danger of them at that point. So it's kind of hard to be afraid of what you don't really believe in. Randall was still at the point where he just wasn't 100% sure what this place even was. I mean, he's like, oh, you can't come in because of the rock in the window kind of thing. And he's screaming at these monsters like, I'm not afraid of you kind of thing. Was his show of not showing fear, did that in some manner make the monsters less interested in him? But did that make the influence not work on him as much? I don't know. What do you guys think about the whole influence thing? Do you think they're, how do the monsters influence people, and why do they keep their blinds shut at night? Is there some kind of aspect that they look for inside these humans that makes them a little easier to manipulate? Like fear. Again, it definitely seems like these monsters are heavily predicated on fear. They don't want to just kill their victims. They want their victims afraid when they die. Fear definitely seems to be a major motivation for these things. And maybe the less fear you have, the less influence they can exert on you, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? What do you guys think about the whole monsters' influence on everybody?
I'm not sure. I think like they said about the sheet just for the kids because kids are stupid and can be easily tricked. But then you've got
kids might be more susceptible.
Yeah, but then you've got a grown man who wants to have sex with one of them. So I mean, you can't really make that argument after watching that scene either.
This is true too. This is true too.
Like, yeah,
but it was certainly a weakness, a mental weakness.
Yeah,
I think Randall, his bravado definitely plays into it. But he also, I mean, he's on that bus, and we know, in seat 13D, there's the old man and the old lady that were sliced to ribbons. So he's living in that thing where all that happened. I think you might have, even if you don't understand, you don't understand the situation until the first time you see the results of people who didn't take those precautions. And we saw when he almost did open the door of the bus the first night that the monsters approached him. His hand went out and he caught himself. But I think they've played into that and I think they've done it really artfully with Randall, that he's suspicious of everything. He's always looking out of his side eye. He's always like assessing things for whether they have like other significance. He's looking for the mole, whether there is or isn't one. He's always super suspicious. So I think he's looking at the monsters with that same scrutiny. And I think that might, he's always going to be, he's always going to be suspicious. I mean, obviously he would be suspicious of their motives, but I think his level of whatever attention that he pays to them or understanding, they're not going to catch him off guard. They're not going to catch him slipping, unless he gets attacked by a 0.05 ounce insect and then he falls on the ground.
Or cicada. Yeah,
right.
It's a cicada. Then he all of a sudden gets reduced to a Victor state where he's kind of huddling in fear. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And we have Chocolate Beauty, on the Randall subject as well. And thank you so much, Chocolate Beauty, for the super chat. Randall is definitely coming for Boyd. I think he will be a double agent. And that, I mean, you bring up a very good point, and that's a question I would love to not only ask my co-host, but you guys in the chat as well. How do you think Randall is going to react to this? I mean, it definitely seems like Randall is going to survive his wounds. It doesn't look like he's in any kind of mortal danger. It looks like it was more just kind of topical stuff. Yes, he's spitting up blood, but I get the feeling he is going to survive if we, are to, look where it's going. These monsters easily could have killed him if they wanted to, but no, they wanted him to survive. And I'm starting to wonder what exactly that is all about. Some people think Randall is going to get turned into a monster. Or could it just be as simple as this was just another psychological attack on Boyd? Maybe this was just a way to show Boyd what happens when you leave a fellow man behind, which Boyd was forced to do. I mean, he didn't really have any other choice. He kind of had to take the keys and leave. But Boyd, with his military background, he very much is he's an honorable character. He doesn't want to leave anybody behind. And we see the consequence of that later on in this episode when he's in Colony House, even before Randall gets dumped onto the ambulance. He's talking with Donna, and he's very upset with himself that he was forced to leave Randall behind. He doesn't want to leave anybody behind, even Randall. But he was forced to, unfortunately. But now, how is that going to play out? As Chocolate Beauty asks, how is Randall going to react to this? Is Randall going to be holding some kind of grudge against Boyd? I mean, the last thing we hear Randall say is, "Boyd, don't you fucking leave me!" And so, yeah, I think you could be right, Chocolate Beauty. I think very much Randall could maybe be on the warpath towards Boyd. Not the warpath, but maybe this could be some kind of catalyst that does create some kind of divide within the town, because it does seem like Boyd is slowly starting to lose his grip on this town. And I do get to the feeling we're going to get to a point where the town is going to start to question Boyd's, ability to lead. And could this be, the beginning of that? But yeah, how do you think this is going to play out with Randall and Boyd in these next few episodes? How is Randall going to react? Is he going to hold a big grudge? And could Randall, as Chocolate Beauty even brings up, could Randall potentially even becoming some kind of double agent? I don't know. What do you guys think? And let me know in the chat too. What do you guys think about Randall? How's he going to react towards Boyd?
I think that's what they want us to think. Like, I think they want us to think he's going to come for Boyd. But what I think will happen is it'll make him more eager, more determined to figure stuff out by himself and try and get out himself. That's what I think. How I think it will go. You, Ravener?
Interesting.
I think he's definitely. I don't know about being a double agent, but he's definitely going to be an agent of unrest. He is not going to be forgiving Boyd, and the other side of it is all the tantrums that Boyd. I don't want to say tantrums. All the emotional outbursts that Boyd did was right in front of everybody at Colony House. He was, and I know it probably was from being frustrated. Nothing makes me more mad than being frustrated and not being able to, being forced into a choice where neither choice is a good outcome. That's why he was going to try to do to Acosta what he did to Frank. He was going to try to grab her and physically manhandle her and make her look at the results of what she had done. That was him acting out. That was him venting. That was him focusing his frustration with himself on other people. And then, Donna, of course, intercepts it and takes him upstairs. And he was all ready for one of Donna's patented speeches. And then he was not ready for her to break down the way she did. But I think the fact that he did that, and Randall has a case. He does have a case to, for the. He's
got a legit grievance.
Yeah. And now, to be fair, Randall did fall down because of the imaginary cicadas on his own. He could have, if he'd have just sprinted straight through, he could have made it back and no problem.
Easily.
But the fact is, I don't even know that Boyd knew that at that point, because Boyd was focused on getting in the ambulance and getting going. So he probably didn't think, he probably just assumed that Randall was taking care of himself.
I think he was. I think it wasn't until the dialogue we hear from the monster that Boyd even started to realize, oh shit, Randall's in trouble. He probably thought Randall was just going to make it back to the bus, no problem. Because as soon as Randall throws him the tools, Boyd goes right around the other end of the ambulance to start to give the tools to Jim. So it didn't look like Boyd saw Randall fall down, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, what could have Boyd done? He could have done anything.
What could he? Exactly.
You can't they can't even kill one monster. So how is he going to stop 4 from getting to Randall when Randall's laying on the floor? It's just like,
right.
He can be pissed off, but he can't do anything about it.
They could have,
could have done.
Yeah, I mean, with all the time in the world to plot and strategize, you could have said, well, they could have just taken the tools and opened up the back of the ambulance, and both Randall and Boyd jumped in there with everybody else. They would have had to spend a night in the ambulance with everybody secured by the talisman, because they did have a talisman. Okay. But man, you just have to hope nobody had beans for dinner or anything, in that ambulance till sunrise. But the thing is, it doesn't serve the plot. And I think not only is Boyd going to be mad at, or not only is Randall going to be mad at Boyd, but I think he's going to recruit people. I think he's going, whether he actively recruits them or people fall away, and this breakdown in front of everybody at Colony House is not going to help Boyd's case. I think that's where the division's going to come. I don't know that necessarily he'll be actively working against the town or sabotaging it, but I think you're spot on, Chocolate Beauty, that Randall's coming for Boyd, and he's going to bring. I mean, you tell me that Dale, like somebody as contrary, somebody as oppositional as like Dale, and who knows how many other people of similar thoughts. I mean, Nikki was a little bit of a firecracker before, her thing.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I think we see Well, I think his goal is just going to be to, kind of, get even with Boyd, really, for leaving him behind. And I think we could see a potential splintering starting actually in episode 5. Anyone who has seen the episode 5 trailer, there's one thing that seems to be a big theme in this next upcoming episode that has to do with Tabitha and potentially finding, potentially how she found a way out. And it seems like I get the feeling Boyd is not going to want to have this whole town rushing out to that lighthouse to kind of take a giant swan dive off the top of it and potentially die, which will probably be what happens. I get the feeling you can't just jump out of that lighthouse and end up in the real world. It almost seems like the boy in white had a hand in bringing Tabitha there. I think if they all run into that lighthouse and jump off the top of it, they're gonna find themselves hitting the ground very fast. But could this potentially start some kind of problem within the town where you have a faction of the town that does want to go to this lighthouse to try and figure something out, and a faction of the town that doesn't? And could Randall start to be one of the ringleaders of the people in the town that do want to go to this lighthouse? I could see a little rift potentially forming there, maybe.
Yeah, and Randall, as he approaches authority, I mean, he might do it just to take the almighty Boyd down a peg. Maybe he just doesn't like the idea that one person is like an unquestionable, essentially to an extent, because of the prestige that Boyd has had up to this point. There's bound to be somebody who's, even if they don't want the role for themselves. I mean, I don't know that maybe Randall doesn't want to replace Boyd, but he just wants to take Boyd down a peg and
take him down.
And the thing is, I mean, at the beginning of this episode, or at the beginning of season 1, the Colony House people were entirely different, entirely segregated from the townsfolk. And Boyd had, and we talked about Boyd watching Ellis through binoculars. It was that contentious of a relationship. So maybe some of these Colony House people aren't super cool with all of a sudden, taking orders from Boyd, on major things like that, or giving him veto power over them when all they want to do is live.
Does Randall strike you as the kind of person that wants to lead people, though? Like, that's where that's not gelling for me.
He wants to question who is leading. That's what
I think exactly. I think he wants to question who is leading, and like you said, Raven, earlier, maybe being a little bit of an agent of chaos in some instances. But in terms of him like becoming a leader, Rob, I think you're right. I just don't think that's Randall's personality type. I mean, who knows? Maybe, but I don't really see it where Randall's concerned. He doesn't seem like the leader of men type, at least not yet. One thing I did want to bring up before we dive into some other stuff is Robert Saunders actually spotted this, and I spotted the blood, but I didn't take a closer look at it. And Robert Saunders was pointing out that the blood splatter right next to Randall looks an awful lot like the red symbol on the cave. And it does. I had to kind of take a closer look to, back to the episode and get a proper screenshot of it. But no, I think you might be onto something, Robert. I mean, is it just coincidental? I don't know. I mean, it does kind of have a very similar look to that red symbol. I mean, we see that here. I do believe I have the red symbol that we can look at too, up towards the top. I don't know. I don't know if that is coincidental or if it is on purpose, but they definitely seem to look a whole lot alike. There we go. Right here, red symbol. It looks very similar in terms of the streaks going down. I mean, the blood dripping down. It does look similar. So nice catch on Robert and anybody else who might have caught it as well. I didn't catch that at first. I had to go back and watch and really look for the blood stain. But here you see the red symbol, and then you look back at the blood stain. It's pretty similar. It is pretty similar. Pretty similar. I don't know. Yeah, might be onto something there, Robert. But thank you so much, Tug and Chocolate Beauty, for the super chats. I very much appreciate you, and I owe you guys a well overdue. Whoa. Indeed. All right, let's catch up with the chat a little bit. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let me scroll down here. See what we are saying. What are you guys thinking? What did you think of episode 4? And what predictions do you guys have for episode 5 as well? Let us know in the chat. Let's see. Town ain't big enough for no arachnophobes. Randall was dead weight. Maybe. Star says, let them all fend for themselves. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if they think, if we do see the town start to slowly kind of question Boyd's leadership, I mean, we saw what this town was like before Boyd was here. They were barely surviving night to night. If it wasn't for Boyd, they never would have found the talismans, for one. They never would have been able to turn this town into just a nightmare freaking town, into a place where they can actually kind of live and build some sort of small life now. That's all thanks to Boyd, Mr. Fish and Loaves. So yeah, if they think they're better off without him, yeah, that's right, Star. Let's see. Let them fend for themselves. Let's see how they do. Maybe they didn't kill Randall because he's touched by that stranger entity, and maybe that's the case. That's a very possible case as well. We still have no idea what's happening with Julie, Randall, and Mari in terms of the whole cicada coma that they were in. Clearly, Randall's seeing these cicadas again. Now, are they real or just in his head? Still remains to be seen. But maybe whatever was doing with them isn't quite done with them yet. Maybe that's why they didn't fully kill him off. That's very possible, indeed.
Yep. Now we've got two
Dale's
people.
going to find himself.
Yeah, we've got two people we've got two people now that have had close encounters with the monsters where they easily could have killed them and didn't. So now both of them, both Boyd and Randall, need to figure out and explain, even if they don't know the explanation themselves, why they were spared. But other people are going to be asking that question. Why is Ten Chen spread all over the inside of that barn and Boyd gets to sit there and watch it?
Not.
Yeah.
And the monsters didn't react to the cicadas, did they? So, like when they were attacking Randall, when he fell down?
Didn't look like it. Didn't look like it, no. And it didn't look like that. It looked like it was kind of similar in season 2 when Randall first got taken over by the cicadas. Like the monsters kind of walk up to him and just leave him alone. So it almost seems like these cicada things were a kind of higher form of entity in there. Like maybe there is some kind of, hierarchy, for lack of better term, some kind of chain of command. Who knows? I'll be honest, time travel is the only way to explain this mess. I don't think so, actually. I actually think time travel would only complicate this even more. I feel like, I really hope they don't go the time travel route personally. We're seeing some evidence of some kind of time displacement things happening here and there, but I'm not really seeing any evidence of full-on time travel. I'm not really seeing it personally. So no, I don't think time travel could explain this. I actually think time travel will only make things more complicated. But who knows? Who knows? The time travel theory is definitely a popular one. I predicted before the start of season 3 that there would be sort of mutiny based on people's shifting loyalty/trust. And yeah, hey, it looks like you might be right, Angela. Looks like you may be right. Looks like there could potentially, and we talked about this as well in terms of there not being not so much in that sense, but in the sense of maybe we could see another divide in the town, like like Ravener was saying earlier. When Boyd and his family first got stuck here, it seemed like it was all just one giant town. That you saw Donna and everybody living down in the town before they had the talismans. They were all hiding in the same holes down in the town. There wasn't this divide when Boyd first got here. And I truly think that the divide was a result of what Abby did, Boyd's wife, going on her shooting spree. Because even in that flashback when Abby was shooting everybody, Donna and all the people at Colony House, you see a lot of them right there in the town. It didn't seem like there was this big divide yet. I think the Abby massacre, when she went on her killing spree, I do get the feeling that was the catalyst that originally split the town up, where you had Donna take her people, or everybody that was like-minded to Donna, the people who kind of wanted to live every day like it was like it was their last and not be told what to do kind of thing. They all went to Colony House. And I think everybody else that wanted to stay in a more town structure stayed in the town. And I do think that was the original divide there, because like you mentioned, Ravener, even when we get to the beginning of season 1, Boyd can't even walk up to Colony House without Donna saying, hey, you shouldn't be up here. He's watching his son through binoculars, as you mentioned. So there's a clear divide in the town at first. But as we get, more into season 1, and by the time we get to season 2, it seems like that divide has kind of dropped. It does seem like they're starting to function more as just one big town again, to the point where, Boyd is making regular trips to Colony House. He and Ellis kind of patched things up. They were kind of they were coming back together. But now, yes, I could potentially see there being some other kind of rift heading in the future where we do see another divide like that, similar to how we saw the divide of the town and Colony House. Because, yeah, it seems like tempers are flaring, conditions are getting worse and worse. And if this trend continues to go on and people are going to start to question Boyd's judgment and question his ability to lead, yeah, there could be another kind of split coming down the road, maybe.
That might be a good thing, though. So instead of Boyd having to try and protect everyone in the town all the time, he can start focusing on trying to get out of the town and getting more answers. So maybe that will work out in the plot a lot better.
There you go, Rob. And see, and I was always hung up on how the writers can contrive to get I go back to this again and again. We know they can go 96 days if you follow the rules, do everything right. The writers have to figure ways to contrive the townsfolk and the monsters to interact at night in an unprotected situation. And adding this, breaking the routine, breaking any sense of normalcy, having two factions. Not, it was bad enough when there was Colony House and the town, everybody was generally rowing in the same direction. What if there's a selfish faction? What if they are a little more morally flexible and think raiding is a valid strategy? That they, and a raid by a mutinous faction can knock down a talisman or open a door in a way that even the monsters can't, but it will definitely expose whoever they victimized to the monsters, in addition to the predation of the mutinous faction. Just having a third faction in itself is going to be its own thing. And do you think it's a coincidence that they suddenly discovered Cannibal Village? I think once they pull up all those veggies and stuff and go back to the town, they're going to find, hey, there's a faction that doesn't want to be around any of you people. They don't want to be up in Colony House or down in the town. Well, guess what? We're going out here. We know we've got at least two buildings. You can fit, what do you think? Maybe 8 people, give or take. That's a big chunk of people, comparatively. I think there's only like 40. Yeah. So I'm just kind of talking my way into this theory. I don't know.
No, and we've brought it up in the past too, where I get the feeling there is something else out there. There's no way these are the only people that are in here. How vast Fromville is, especially when Tabitha was up at the top of that lighthouse. You really get a sense of just how enormous this land is that they are stuck in, whether it's some kind of pocket universe, whatever it is. It is vast. Absolutely just seems like it goes on forever almost. You mean to tell me this is the only town in all of Fromville that only has people here, when we're seeing all of this other evidence of other little kind of settlements out there in the forest, like Cannibal Village, like all of the other ruined structures we've seen? So no, at this point, I wouldn't be that surprised at all if at some point they stumble upon some other kind of faction that might be stuck here in some other capacity as well. I just wouldn't be surprised I would be surprised if they're the only people there. It seems like there's more out there to be discovered, a lot more, and hopefully we discover it. And that's why I've always wanted them to kind of start mapping this place out a little bit more, find out what is really out there in the forest. Until they truly understand what this place is, until they truly understand their surroundings, they're never going to be able to conquer it, to combat it. You can't beat what you don't know. So they really need to find out more about this place. And I'm really hoping that towards the second half of season 3, that will be a little bit more of the structure of the story, where they are kind of actively looking for more information about this place so they can finally get something definitive to work off of, maybe. And
at least they're talking about it now.
At least they're finally talking about things now.
Oh my God.
If anyone has seen the episode 5 trailer is giving me so much hope in this regard. And we'll play it here in a little bit, and I'd love to get your guys' thought on it as well. But it looks like from the episode 5 trailer, they're actually having a freaking town meeting for once, something we have been calling for Yes, Rob, they are having a town meeting in episode 5, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. We've been yelling about this for so freaking long. Everybody has, not just us, the whole fandom. All you guys in the chat, many people all around the Fromville fandom. Everybody's been wondering, why are they not sharing more information with each other? It seems like everybody's keeping everything so close to the chest. But yes, episode 5, they are going to have a town meeting, and I'm going to play that right now. But first, let me catch up with these real quick. We got Kel Bishop. Thank you so much for the 2. Wish Boyd would have close range. And yes. Again, Boyd is definitely my second favorite character. I think Jade will always be my favorite character. I love Jade. I love his storyline. I love where he's going, and especially now that he wished me a personal happy birthday, thanks to Dana and Scarlett. Jade will always be my favorite character, but I love Boyd. Boyd and Victor are definitely my close second favorites here on the show, just because I just love the character of Boyd, but I really love the acting performances from Harold Perrineau and from Scott McCord. First and foremost, they are absolutely just eating every single scene that they are in. So thank you so much for the 2. We got Steph 1816. Thank you so much, Steph, for the $5. Jeremy, do you think they will let Randall sleep somewhere else instead of the bus by himself? Ooh, good question. Good question. I actually think it's been well past time that Randall get out of this freaking bus. And that was one of my things in episode 1. I was always wondering, if you're coming into a food shortage and this livestock, if these animals are this desperately important to you, why are you just leaving these things out at night? These monsters descend upon the town all the time. Yes, the monsters it seems like they've never showed any interest in going after the livestock before, but that would always be something that I would have been a little bit weary of, knowing how important these monsters are. Why are you not taking steps to protect them? So I thought it was long past time that they grab that talisman that Randall is using in the bus and put that thing in the barn, put all of the livestock, all of the animals inside the barn at night, hang up a talisman. That way your only remaining food source is safe. And yeah, Randall can live in one of the houses or go live in Colony House. But now, after what has happened to him, will the town or Colony House or Donna give him some kind of lenience and offer him a place to stay in Colony House, maybe? I think it's possible. I think it may be. Part of me thinks that Randall just kind of belongs on the bus and he's kind of going to stay there forever, but I could potentially see him moving somewhere else. But what do you guys think? You think Randall will stay on the bus indefinitely, or do you think you could potentially see him moving into Colony House or into a house at some point?
I think he's going to leave. I think he's going to go off and try and get some answers. Yeah.
I think they're going to stash him in the clinic for at least a couple days or more. That'll be where they put him in the meantime, just enough to get Christy back there and maybe have a little dialogue there. And that's got to be where him and Marielle have their little heart to heart too, I think, while he's chilling in the clinic.
I like that.
Because his face is pretty wrecked. Yeah, he ain't going to be in
he's going to need some stitches at the very least. Yeah, he's going to need to get sewn up. No, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe we'll see him at the clinic for a little bit, because it does look like he is going to get bandaged up in some way. So I imagine that'll probably be Christy or Marielle. So
and he's not looking for answers, or he is looking for answers. So his healing ain't going to be Ellis quality healing. It'll take him longer, I bet.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe he won't heal as fast if he does.
He didn't get the healing bonus.
Yeah, no healing factor. No healing factor, unfortunately. But thank you so much, Steph, for the 5. And Robert Saunders for $20. Wow, thank you so much, Robert, for the 20. Wow, it was incredibly generous of you, my friend. Jeremy, over 400 watching, and the Fromily in the chat is absolutely killing it tonight with their theories. Absolutely deserved, and this community is amazing. Well, Robert, I could not have said it better myself, my friend. And yes, I absolutely echo that statement. Wow, 400 people in here. That is so cool to see. And yes, this really is this is the best show that is on TV right now. Like, by far, I don't think there's any other show that is currently on TV that is this interesting and has this much of an awesome fan base behind it too. So yeah, I am super grateful for each and every one of you. Super grateful for anybody who chooses to come and hang out with us when we go live and share your thoughts and your theories on this crazy freaking story that is unfolding before us. But yes, I very much echo the sentiment, and thank you so much, Robert, for the 20, and thank you, Steph, and thank you, Kel, for the super chats. Chat knows what that means. I owe you guys Hey, whoa.
And Robert's a big part of it too. I mean, he's a huge part of the Discord community.
Absolutely.
And like nonstop with the theory crafting. Anybody who wants to talk theories, man, that Discord is the place to be. We had to upgrade and expand. And now we've opened it up. I mean, we could have up to 150 people participating in a voice chat.
Just
we got
in the watch party alone.
Yeah, we got stages now. So
is there a link to this Discord? How does it work?
There is.
Right, it's pinned to the top.
The link is pinned. Yeah, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Our awesome mods are usually always dropping the links in for our Discord. Thank you. Thanks to Kiwi and Vic and Delsenia and all the awesome mods we have here on the channel. But yeah, you can always usually find the link to our Discord pinned to the top of the chat. And yeah, I got to thank everybody for making that Discord what it is. You guys have turned that into one of the biggest hubs of From fan theories anywhere you will find online. There's probably rivaled maybe only by Reddit. There really is just so awesome to see all the theory crafting that you guys are doing in that Discord on a daily basis. Seeing all the new members that have been joining lately. We've been getting so many new members in the Discord, which is so cool to see. Yeah, everybody's welcome. Like I said, we do our weekly watch parties directly in the Discord every Sunday night. So you can hop on into the watch party and watch the new episodes with us every week if you so choose, or come in and watch it as an encore. I know a lot of people watch the episodes right when they drop at midnight on Saturday, which we do as well. But if that's the case, come on, join us Sunday night as well and dive in for an encore presentation. But yeah, the Discord has been awesome. And Robert, all of the everyone that's been here since the beginning, day one, or whether you're just coming in now and this is your first stream you've ever seen, you guys are what makes this fandom as fun as it is. And this is one of those shows where you watch it and it's like you can't just not talk about it. There's so much stuff going on in this show, so much weird mystery aspects, so much theorizing, so much foreshadowing. It's one of those shows that you can't just watch and walk away from. You really need to talk about this show when you're done watching. I very much have a very deep urge to talk about this show every time an episode comes on. Like if I didn't have a YouTube channel, if we didn't have this little community here and I was just watching these episodes every week and had nobody to talk to it with, I would be pulling my freaking hair out. It's like it's one of those shows that you just need to talk about. So yeah, guys, keep the theories coming. We want to know what you think. What did you think about episode 4? Where do you think the rest of the season is going to go? Do you guys have any particular predictions for episode 5? Let us know what you think. And of course, speaking of episode 5, I do have the trailer. Now, I will give a warning. I know not everybody even likes to watch the trailer, so if you don't want to see the trailer for episode 5, I'll give you a quick little 5-10 second chance to kind of just mute your mic and then maybe or leave and come back in like 30 seconds. But I'm going to play the episode 5 trailer, and after I play it, I want to hear from you guys in the chat and from my awesome co-host what is sticking out for you guys from the trailer for episode 5, and what predictions do you have for this next episode. But first we got Strange Sky for $5. Wow, thank you so much, Strange Sky, very much appreciate that. Could cicada blood kill the monster that bit Randall? Like Boyd's blood to Smiley? Is that why he was let go? Not sure who drove the ambulance. Boyd drove the ambulance. It was Boyd and when Boyd was rescuing Tabitha and Jim and all of them were in the back, Boyd was actually the one who drove the ambulance to Colony House and just left it there. But we don't know which monster dragged Randall to Colony House and dumped him onto the ambulance. And on top of that, it seems like they actually dumped him onto the ambulance and even went in and turned the lights on so they would find him. Because we see Donna and Boyd up in Donna's room at the end of the episode. And if you look at the window in the background, at 1 minute there's no lights in the background, and then for the next scene you start seeing the lights just start flashing all of a sudden. So it's almost like the monsters dumped Randall onto the ambulance and then turned on the lights so he would specifically get found. But no, in terms of could some of this cicada blood potentially take out a monster, I have no idea. That's a good question. I haven't even really thought of that myself, but that's a very good question. I don't know. I suppose it's 50-50 at this point. I mean, we know the cicadas had, or at least when they were in their worm form before they morphed into cicadas, they were definitely capable of taking out a monster. We saw that very clearly with Smiley. So if they were to catch some of these cicadas, could they use their blood to kill one of these monsters? I don't know. That's because the only thing that makes me worry about that is I don't know if these cicadas are actually real, if they're actually physical cicadas. It seems like only Randall can see these cicadas that are flying around him. So I'm not sure they're actually like a physical bug that anybody could even catch. It seems like they're kind of in Randall's head kind of thing. So I'm not sure if they even could do that. But if by some chance they were able to get some kind of cicada blood, I mean, I guess it'd be worth a shot at the very least. I don't know if it would work personally, but who knows? But that's kind of where I land on it. I just think Randall is the only one that can see these cicadas, so I'm not sure they would be able to catch them.
Yeah. Given
yeah.
what we were shown I mean, just based on only what we were shown in the show. I mean, we saw that when Boyd first boarded the bus and Randall was swatting at them.
Boyd couldn't see him. Yeah.
And
yeah, but just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not real. Like, some people can't hear that phone ring, but it's still ringing.
Well, that's what we thought too. I thought Jim was the only one that could hear that phone ring at first, but then we see her in this episode, Ethan's hearing the phone ring too, and then Jim grabs the phone from him. So it seems like the phone calls are actually real. I think the phone calls are actually maybe potentially the same thing that Jim heard on the radio at the end of season 1. At first, I thought it was just in Jim's head too, but it seems like Jim and Ethan both heard the phone call now. So I think it's a little more real. But the cicadas, I don't know. I get the feeling the cicadas are something that are just in Randall's head. But who knows? I mean, like you said, just because he's the only one that can see them, does that definitely mean they're not real? Who knows? I think they're not real. I think they're just in Randall's head, but I could be wrong, very much so.
yeah, and we were wondering then why did the kids not turn around when they heard it? But maybe they didn't want to. They were already both of them were fed up with Jim in the kitchen for the first phone call. And maybe we thought they didn't hear it because you'd think, well, the kid's going to turn around and go answer the phone.
Didn't hear it.
But maybe maybe they just weren't interested. Maybe they're like, F that old man. Let him answer.
That's the thing. As Dumbledore brings up, I don't think Jim heard the phone ring, but saw Ethan on the phone. Well, he saw Ethan on the phone, and then Jim actually grabs the phone from Ethan and starts talking to that Thomas voice on the other end. So both Ethan and Jim both were talking to that Thomas voice on the other end of that phone. And I think that was clear indication that these phone calls are definitely real. They're not something that only Ethan and that only Jim can hear, because both Jim and Ethan were both on that phone talking to Thomas in that same scene. So I don't think it's one of those things that just one character can hear. I think those phone calls are actually real. And I think that's why they had Ethan get a phone call in this episode in particular. I think that's probably why they set it up that way, so we as the audience would know that these phone calls are real and they're not just in their heads. Because again, the phone rings, Ethan picks it up, Jim grabs the phone from Ethan, talks to the Thomas voice just like Ethan did, so they could both clearly hear what was going on. It wasn't just one or the other. And again, I think that was a clear indication that these phone calls are definitely real. And that leads me to believe that it was similar to this voice that Jim heard at the end of season 1, because if we go back to that scene, we know Jim wasn't the only one who heard that voice at the end of season 1. Donna was right there as well, and even Donna heard the voice when the voice over the radio came through. So whatever these phone calls are, I definitely think they're a little bit more real. I don't think they're just in Jim's head or just in Ethan's head. It seems like they both heard them, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. I get the feeling we're going to see more of these phone calls. I don't think those are the only phone calls we're going to get. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see this theme play out over the course of season 3, where we see more of these phone calls come through.
Even with the phone off the wall?
Yep.
It's sitting on the table. I can see it ringing.
It'll still ring, man. Yeah.
The phone off the wall. Because even when it was on the wall, it wasn't attached to anything. We know those wires go nowhere. So even when it was on the wall, it wasn't actually connected to anything. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the freaking phone's on the kitchen table and it starts freaking ringing next episode. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, maybe not, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, awesome stuff, guys. Awesome stuff. And thank you so much for the super chat, Sky. I owe you a whoa.
Chatters are getting their money's worth tonight. Every
absolutely. Well, that's the thing.
On the trailer, don't worry about the trailer because it's 30 seconds. It's not long at all.
Yeah, we're gonna play the trailer. Yeah, it's only 30 seconds. And again, if anybody does not want to see the episode 5 trailer, that is totally cool. Maybe just mute your screen for like 30 seconds or leave for 30 seconds, then come back. But it's not very spoilery. I mean, these are just episode to episode trailers. Just gives you a small taste of what episode 5 might be like. It doesn't really give you a whole lot of definitive stuff. But
just before you Just before you press it, it was 47 more likes to 200. So if everyone in chat can
Oh,
just
wow.
hit that button, that would be sick. It actually really helps the channel and helps Jeremy out. So that'd be awesome, guys. Please just give it a quick
Yeah,
press.
wow. That is awesome. Wow,
That's
thank you
super, yeah.
guys. Very much appreciate that. Yeah, smack that like button, and if you so choose, or the dislike button. That's totally cool. Both are cool.
Yeah, first timers
Engagement
and
is
long timers. We're
engagement
so
as
glad you're
far as
all here,
YouTube
man.
is concerned. Yeah, absolutely. Again, super, super excited to see the numbers that we've been getting lately. It's so awesome to see that a lot of people are finding From. And again, I definitely feel like this is the best show that is on TV right now. But yes, without further ado, here is the episode 5 teaser trailer. And let us know down in the comment section or in the live chat here, what do you guys think about this episode 5 trailer, and what scenes stick out to you, and what predictions do you have coming into episode 5?
What the hell happened last night? Tabitha's back. What? This is Tabitha got out. Impossible. Where's the tree?
What are we waiting for?
Stop.
I got it. You do, your dad is here.
It's not possible.
He's upstairs.
No.
Victor,
We're going to the tree. What?
they're right. I went out and I came back. And I came back with nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Victor's literally down
Ooh,
one
boy.
lunchbox. They actually have less than they had
Victor's
when they
down a
started.
lunchbox. Victor's down a lunchbox. But one thing I'm super excited of, we are finally getting a freaking town meeting. We got the entire town packing into the diner, and we are finally seeing them all address some of the weirdness that has been going on in Fromville. And now it looks like the entire town is finding out that Tabitha did indeed find a way out, and that she potentially knows a way out. And of course, Dale is the first one to step up and say, "Where's the freaking tree? Come on, where's the tree? I'm tired of this. Tell me where the tree is." So yeah, I mean, how do you guys see this episode going? This looks like it's going to be a very, very interesting episode, because we haven't really seen the town in a state like this before, where again, we're getting this town meeting where they're all going to learn some pretty profound information that there is potentially a way out. Could we start to see a lot of these characters want to go and search for this lighthouse, to search for another way out? I mean, it certainly seems like at least Tabitha is going to try and find it again. So yeah, what do you guys think about episode 5? What kind of predictions do you guys have for episode 5? What stood out for you from the trailer? I think we're going to see a big marching order of Dale and a bunch of other people marching their way up to this lighthouse, taking a swan dive off, only to find out that they're going to dive to their death.
Well, I mean, I thought it was going to be Randall, but it looks like, according to this trailer, that Dale's the one, stepping up,
Dale.
just really raising those objections and saying, and I can kind of see it. He's one of the people that doesn't want to be there. So it's like, why would I not take this opportunity? We know the way to get out. Maybe, and you'd think, well, maybe you did something wrong, Tabitha. Maybe you did it wrong. Maybe if more of us go, then we'll figure out how to go and stay gone. That's definitely going to be, again, Boyd is, I wanted to see Randall, or not Randall. I wanted to see Henry and Victor have their reunion. I don't like that scene where Victor is bolting out the door when Henry's literally
like
just upstairs.
Accept it. Yeah. Man, I was wondering what kind of reaction he would have to it. And I get the feeling once he and Victor do come face to face, like once Victor actually sees Henry, I think he'll have a different reaction. But him just hearing it from Donna, it's like he just can't accept it.
Yeah. And then where is he going? I mean, I know you said that he's going to run down to the caves. I was like, oh man, I sure hope not. That would be.
I think
you think he's going to go back to
eventually? I don't know if it'll be right in this episode, but I think eventually he will go back to those caves to try and find the puppet.
Do you think he's going to run to Sarah?
Yes, it definitely looks like that is the case. I mean, I think unfortunately some of the stills kind of give that away. It looks like Victor is going to run to Sarah for a shoulder to cry on, literally for a shoulder to cry on. If we actually see the still, he's literally crying on her shoulder. But yeah, I mean, this is very interesting, this dynamic between Victor and Sarah, and I kind of like these two characters being paired up. They have an interesting. They certainly have a lot in common, I guess. They're both kind of outsiders. They're both kind of outcasts from the town, that the town kind of has written off, that the town doesn't engage with a whole lot. And we're wondering in episode 4, why exactly did Victor go to Sarah in the first place with this suitcase of all the people he could go to? Why did he go to her? And now we learn, I mean, he goes to her because he feels like she's the scariest person in town, and whatever revelations he comes across aren't going to scare her. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen here. It looks like I think you're right. I think Victor's going to hear this news from Donna that his father is here. He's not going to want to accept it, and he's going to run to Sarah. And I think Sarah will be the one that convinces him to go see his father.
Okay, so he's gonna relent and have that finally have that reunion. That'll be interesting.
That reunion's coming. Yeah, they got to give us that reunion. I mean, they can't not, right? Like, after all of this, setting this up the way they have, knowing Victor has not seen his father for almost 50 years, how can they not give us that reunion scene at this point? That would just be evil.
Is it really a reunion if you've never met the person before, though? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, he has. He has. When he got stuck here in Fromville, he was, he's probably old enough to remember his father. At least the father's old enough to remember Victor and the lunchbox he had and all of that. So I think Victor is definitely going to remember his father, or at the very least, he was old enough to remember him when they got stuck here. At least.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember your 5th grade teacher, you'd remember your father if you're 10 years old. You're in 5th grade.
I mean, is it actually his father, though? That's what I'm saying.
I think it is. Yes, I think it is his father. I mean, maybe not. I mean, who knows? I know. Yeah, because Rob had an interesting theory that maybe this character, this Henry, might actually be the man in yellow. And I thought that was an interesting theory. I mean, he lives in the yellow house and all of that, so you see some of the similarities there. He's kind of wearing yellow a lot too. But no, I do think it's Victor's father. I feel like you look at the actor who is playing Henry, and you look at the actor who was playing Victor, Scotty McCord, they look so much alike. Like, look at how much they look alike. I mean, just the facial features and even some of Henry's mannerisms. I would be very surprised if this isn't his real father. It looks like this could be very well his biological dad, even in real life. I mean, they even look similar, but who knows? Maybe we're headed for a twist. I guess it's possible. 'Tis possible. I don't know. I don't know, but I want to see the reunion personally. I do want to see this reunion between father and son. I feel like it'd be a pretty, a nice heartwarming scene that we don't get too much of in a show like this that is just so full of heartbreak. It would be nice to see a reunion as opposed to a death every once in a while, I guess. A little bit of levity to kind of even out all of the gore we have been getting this season. Because on top of that, it does look like we are going to get at least one more death, and a major character death if the foreshadowing that we have heard from the showrunner is any indication, that we are going to lose a few of our most beloved characters. And of course, we lost Tien Chen already, and I don't think Nikki could really constitute as a most beloved character, considering she was just introduced this season in a very secondary minor role. I think it's hard to put the beloved phrase on Nikki. So I think we're at least going to lose one more character and get some interesting, at least one more interesting death. So it'd be nice to see a reunion before that happens, I guess. And I hope we're going to get it. We got Golden Child for $4.99. Thank you so much, Golden Child. Is it really a way out if they can be brought back, whatever the entity wants you to return? And that's the big question, is it? And I think you're 100% right, Golden Child, because even if they do find a way out, whatever originally brought them to Fromville could kind of just bring them back again. So I don't think it's one of these, like, when the show is all said and done, when we get to the end of the show and they do all find a way out, I don't think it's going to be as simple as just finding a way out. They need to defeat whatever is here so they don't all get brought back. And so future generations don't get sucked into here as well. And I think that kind of leans into some of the foreshadowing we got from Ethan's character as well. In season 1, Ethan was kind of looking at this whole thing like it was a quest. You have to complete the quest in order to beat it, in order to escape. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is something similar to that is going to happen on the show, where whether it's Boyd, Jade, Victor, these characters that are a little bit more in tune with the kind of supernatural side of things, the ones that are a little bit more centered around finding these answers, I do think these characters are going to be vital in defeating whatever this ultimate entity is, or whatever Fromville is. I do think, it's not just going to be as simple as they find a way out, they all go out and live happily ever after. again, they could easily just get pulled right back in, just like Tabitha did. So I do think it's going to be a thing a little bit along the lines of some kind of quest they need to complete, in Ethan's terms, some kind of goal, some kind of thing they need to overcome before they escape. Because if
They
they
have to.
escape without doing that, they can get pulled back in.
They have to save those kids. I think that's what the
That
overall
might be
goal
it.
is. Yeah.
That might be it, Rob. Yeah, that very well might be it, because we got very interesting foreshadowing that many people have been kind of chosen to save these children, and they've all failed.
Henry Beamer says, "Can Christy at least get a decent haircut before she dies?"
I hope so. I certainly hope so. I mean,
We
yeah,
all
the
hope for
Christy
that.
haircut thing has become a pretty funny meme, even to the point where the actor Kenny even talks about the haircut in the season 2 recap. Yeah. Hopefully, Christy will get a better haircut before the series is end. But thank you so much, Golden Child, for the $4.99, and I owe you. And whoa.
So do you think this of the diner scene is going to be essentially there's enough unruly people who won't take no for an answer that they're going to essentially force Tabitha to show them the way to the tree, and she'll be telling the whole through. Of course, she says everything twice, so she'll be telling them it won't work. That she doesn't know how it's controlled, but they might like force her to at least take them to the tree and explain the situation. I mean, we still don't know. Right now, well, there's 2 people that have been spared by the monsters, Boyd and Randall. We need to hear from them. We want to hear what they have to say about, because I said this before, on Sunday. Boyd sat there and watched what happened to Tianjin the whole night. He's the only person who's lived to see exactly what they do as they're doing it. I mean, we've always seen the aftermath, from Lauren and Megan to Frank to Brick to Tom to whoever. But we've never had anybody who's watched it happen, with the big question about, where the organs go, all that stuff. So there's a lot of stuff Boyd knows that he needs to share with people. There's a lot of stuff that, Randall might need to be a little forthcoming about his experiences. I'm sure they decided to give, Julie and Randall and Mari the space they needed to cope with whatever happened to them. But I think there's going to be a point at which, when you're having a town hall meeting and you're laying it all out there, it's time to say everything. Any experience.
Lay the cards out on the table, kind of thing. Yeah, it's time. I mean, again, this is something we've been really wanting for a very long time, for these characters to finally start sharing information with one another. And it looks like, at the very least, Tabitha is going to kind of be open and, about her experiences, and she's telling everybody what happened. She went back to the real world. She got sucked back in, kind of thing. And yes, it does look like, at least, I mean, just based on the episode 5 trailer that we just saw, it looks like, at the very least, Tabitha and Jade are traveling to this tree in this next episode, or some kind of faraway tree. At the very end of the trailer, we actually see Tabitha and Jade right in front of a faraway tree, looking into the hole of the faraway tree. Is that the exact same bottle faraway tree that took Tabitha to the lighthouse, or is it a different faraway tree? Still remains to be seen. I think it's the bottle one, especially after some of the other stills that we have gone. It looks like we are going to see some bottle tree action, and potentially even some characters taking some more of these bottles out of the tree again, which is going to be very interesting. We saw Boyd takes one of the bottles down when he first sees the first bottle tree, and it was, had the date 1864 written on it. I wonder what else is going to be into some of these other bottles. Now, again, the bottle that Boyd took down from that tree is a completely different bottle tree than the one that Tabitha went through at the end of season 2. So I get the feeling we're going to learn, hopefully, a little bit more about what the heck's going on here. And I mean, why does this one bottle tree always take people to the lighthouse, where the rest of these faraway trees seem to be a little bit more randomized in how they kind of just spit people out in random destinations? So yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more. I hope we learn a little bit more, but at the very least, it looks like at least Tabitha and Jade are going to be traveling to this tree in episode 5. But I guess we'll see what happens. Guess we shall see what happens. But no, Riley brings up a good point for $2. If they ever do get out, once out, never drive or ride the bus again. Solved. And maybe it is that simple. Maybe it's just as simple as never getting in another car again. But again, I get the feeling it might not be that simple. What's to say that people can't get pulled into here when they're, riding a bike or something? I don't know. I have no idea how the mechanism works. We see from the cave paintings, it almost looked like at some point people were getting stuck or arriving in Fromville via boat at one point. If those cave paintings were any indication, at least. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how the mechanism works. If it's only kind of cars and vehicles that people can get pulled in here by, or if they can get pulled in here by other means, we're still not sure. Only thing we know that this time period, this generation, it seems like all of them were driving when they got stuck here. So no, maybe you're onto something. Maybe it is as simple as just never getting into another car again. That's an interesting idea. It's a very interesting idea. Maybe it's just that simple. Shit, maybe it's solves right there. But thank you so much for the $2. But what about you guys? What do you think? Do you think it could be just as simple as if they do get out, maybe never going in a car again? Does that keep them safe, you think? Or do you think they really have to kind of defeat something before they leave so nobody gets pulled back in here?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, I think they've got to save the children. I think that's what the whole thing's centered around. And I think once they do that, it should be fine. But if they escape without doing what they need to do, it'll just keep happening to them till they do it.
Maybe.
What about you, Ravana?
Maybe.
I don't think that anything they do, like you said, I think they need to complete whatever it is that they need to do with regarding the children. They could be on a bicycle, they could be in a wheelchair, a skateboard. I have a feeling they'll find themselves out in the middle of the rural 2-lane road, whether they want
all of a sudden they're on a skateboard. All of a sudden they look up and they see a downed tree in front of their path. Fuck, man, back in Fromville. Shit. No, yeah, it could be. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. I tend to agree with you guys. I do think there needs to be some kind of quest they need to complete before they leave. It can't just be finding a way out and leaving. They have to complete something specific. And again, maybe it's rescuing the children. Maybe even Jade's symbol, finding out what the symbol really means, will have some part to play in it as well. I get the feeling it's going to be a little more complicated than them just finding a way out. They're going to need to complete some kind of quest, for lack of a better term.
And there's no guarantee that they're going to even land in Camden, Maine. If the tower works the same way. Yeah, if the tower works the same way as most of the trees, not counting the bottle tree, that it's unpredictable landing zones. So
it almost seems like Tabitha landed in Camden, Maine, because that's where the boy in white wanted her to land. And again, I very much believe that the boy in white just wanted Henry here. I mean, did the boy in white want the entire Kavanaugh family, or as many members of the Kavanaugh family as possible, for some kind of reason? That's one thing we still really don't know. What was Tabitha's ultimate goal? What was her mission? Why did the boy in white send her to the real world? Was she meant to bring someone or something back? Or was it simply that she was just meant to bring Henry back? Again, I wouldn't be surprised if that was her actual goal, if she was just supposed to bring Henry back here, and maybe the boy in white needs the Kavanaugh family for some reason. Because if Fromville itself wanted Henry, you think they could have easily just grabbed him and snatched him up and brought him into Fromville at any point over the last 4 decades, but they didn't. Maybe it was specifically the boy in white who wants Henry here, not Fromville itself. Because it's just, again, they could have easily grabbed him at any point, but they don't. The boy in white, though, maybe he needs the Kavanaugh family for some reason. Maybe they have a special kind of bloodline that hasn't been revealed, or maybe they just have some kind of big role to play in whatever this ultimate game is. I don't know. Or who knows? Maybe Tabitha just completely botched it. We did see her completely freak out when she sees that bracelet, leading her and Henry to get into the car accident, leading them to get into the ambulance that ends up getting stuck here in Fromville. Could Tabitha potentially have had some other kind of mission that she was supposed to complete in the real world, and she didn't get a chance to do it because she freaked out like that? Did the boy in white want her to find this original bottle tree or something? Like, was there something else she was supposed to do? Again, I mean, the boy in white is very cagey with his details in terms of why exactly he wanted Tabitha in the real world. He gave her no information. So I don't know.
There's some really funny comments, man. Raven says maybe $1 a day is enough to save the children. I'm like, pretty good. And Seba says, just drive around in the tank in case they get teleported back again into Fromville. Easy. Oh, that's good. It's clever, man.
There you go. Yeah, driving around a freaking army tank. At least you got some firepower if you get stuck here again. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good point. It's a good point. We got Jen Hack for $2. Thank you so much, Jen. Tabby should have gone down the tower steps. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, again, this whole tower thing, this whole lighthouse thing, I'd be very surprised if we don't see this lighthouse again in multiple episodes. It seems like it's going to be a permanent fixture on the show. And I always kind of go back to the whole, budget of a show like this, where they probably don't have the hugest, well, I know they don't have the hugest budget for this show compared to some of the other high budget shows that are out there, like like a Rings of Power or House of the Dragon, that are using 100, $200 million budgets. From is not working with that. They're working with a much more modest budget, and I think they're completing even more with their modest budget than all these big budget shows. This show is way better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But one
it's
thing
funny
we
what
did
you can
see,
do with acting, good writing, good premise.
right?
It's
Yeah.
insane.
It's
Well
insane. And practical effects too. Like that's one thing I love about this show. They're
Yeah.
not very heavily reliant on CGI and digital effects. Very rarely do they go the digital route. Most of the effects we see are real world practical effects, which leads me to the lighthouse. They actually built a 30, I believe it's a 30 by 30 or a 30 by 60-foot replica of the base of that lighthouse. You don't go and allocate a big portion of your budget resources to something like that if you're only planning on using it for one scene. So I get the feeling we're going to see that lighthouse again, that tower again. And who knows? We still had that very ominous foreshadowing early on in season 1. Well, at the end of season 1, actually, when Tabitha first has the vision of the lighthouse. She gets to the top and she sees Jim strung upside down like a freaking Christmas ham up there. What exactly was that? Was that some kind of foreshadowing of something that is still yet to come? Will Jim at some point travel to this lighthouse and get captured by the boy in white or somebody else? I don't know, but whatever is going to happen, we are definitely going to see a lot more of that lighthouse. And who knows, maybe again we can see Tabitha go down the steps if there is a down the steps to it. Maybe.
So, do you guys think that there's any power in? I was kind of dancing around the notion of, like, when things are written, when things are inscribed on a paper, the same way like Boyd had the 1864, and then I'm assuming that Victor's address or Henry's address written on the inside of the lunchbox, do you think there's any kind of power in that might like determine where you go when you pass through a portal?
Where they go? Maybe.
Yeah. So
I mean, because you see the 1864 thing brings Boyd to Martin, and a lot of people point out to the Martin tattoo. And this is something we dove into in season 2 as well, when we were trying to kind of track down the date of the time period that Martin's marine tattoo would kind of allocate towards, or be an indication of. And a lot of people seem to think, at least the general consensus from most people seems to be that tattoo could date back as early as the 1800s, like an early one of the earliest versions of that marine tattoo. And if that's the case, could the 1864 that Boyd had written on the paper, could that be a reason as to why he got sent there? Could, like you said, with Tabitha having the lunchbox and the Camden, Maine address, could that be a reason why she was sent to Camden, Maine? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's certainly an interesting question. Yeah, possible. Very possible.
What happened to Christopher? Like, has that
I
been
don't know. We're
explained
gonna
at
dive
all?
into that. Yeah, let's dive into Christopher, but first, let me also say thank you to Tiffany for the $4.99. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Very much appreciate you. Just wanted to say, hey, even though I am always late, I love it here. Well, thank you so much. You are a welcome addition into the chat. And thank you so much for the $4.99. And thank you as well, Jen, for the super chat. Chat knows what that means. I owe you guys a whoa.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Christopher, shall we? Because Christopher seems to be, obviously still a major mystery. There's still so much we don't know about this Christopher character, what kind of role he potentially played in the 1978 massacre, what this Jasper character is going to play. But yeah, I would love to hear everybody's thoughts and theories, both down in the chat and you guys as well. What exactly is going on with Christopher? I mean, when I see this scene and I see him and this puppet arguing, not just talking, it looks like they're actually arguing with one another. Was Christopher potentially trying to resist whatever influence this puppet was trying to exert over him. Like, was he trying to fight it and ultimately just succumbed to whatever power this puppet is? Was this puppet potentially the mastermind of the 1978 massacre? I don't know. Again, there's still so many questions around this Christopher character, what role he played in the massacre, what exactly happened to him, what role is this puppet going to play? I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about Christopher? Any particular theories or predictions you think might have happened to him, or if we'll ever see him again?
How did the puppet end up from where it is there into the tunnels?
Exactly. Who brought the puppet down into the tunnel? Because if we look at this scene, this looks an awful lot like it's the basement of Father Cautry's church. If we look at
Yeah.
the walls and everything, it looks like they're down in the basement of of the building that turned into Father Cautry's church. But yeah, where exactly did this whole puppet come from? Did Christopher bring it with him? Did Christopher find it already in Fromville? I get the feeling you probably found it already in here, but yeah, who brought that freaking thing down into the caves? And not only that, we see all these other human, objects down there in those caves as well in season 2 when Victor and Tabitha were first down there. There's an old TV down there, there's a grandfather clock down there, an old dresser, a little bike, all of these weird things down there in the caves. I mean, did the monsters bring these things down there themselves? Were these souvenirs, for lack of a better term, that the monsters grabbed? Or did Christopher potentially bring these things down there, maybe?
Well,
I
here's the
think
question.
he
Is
jumped up.
Christopher dead, for
Yeah.
starters?
Jasper ran.
I don't know,
Jasper went.
man.
Yeah, you're gonna see them little footsteps, and you're gonna hear them little footsteps, and
Did he walk?
it's gonna be Jasper. Fuck yeah,
No.
that's how he
Walk
got down there.
maybe?
Don't do that.
Yep.
Don't do
Well,
that,
we do see
Ravner.
the balls. Yeah, I really don't want to see that, man. This is what I'm saying. We're getting into Chucky territory now.
Yeah, no
This
thanks.
is getting funky. It's getting a little funky. But no, I mean, we do see that the doll, the puppet itself, Jasper, it does physically move. We see it actually physically moving in this scene. It's moving its head. It's looking at Victor. Yeah, could it potentially just get up and walk down into the freaking caves itself? Maybe. Who freaking knows at this point? I don't know, man. Yeah, again, part of me thinks that maybe Christopher brought it down there, but yeah, maybe it just freaking walked down there. Who knows? But I do love the kind of interesting role reversal that we're seeing here, though, where Christopher starts as the puppet master playing the puppeteer. And now we see that the puppet has completely turned the tables on Christopher, and the puppet is now the puppeteer, is now the puppet master. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of role reversal between these two characters here. But yeah, what exactly is going on with Christopher and this freaking puppet? Sound off down in the chat as well, guys. Let us know what you think. And we got Dizzy Guy Explorers has become a new member of the channel. Wow, thank you so much, Dizzy Guy Explorers. Very much welcome here. And of course, all members have access to our custom Fromville emojis. And of course, if there are any other future requests for new ones, you can always let us know. But we do have a Randall emoji that will be incoming. I know people do want a Jasper emoji that will be incoming pretty soon as well. So I'm definitely going to work on getting those up before our next stream, which will probably be either this Friday or Saturday. But welcome so much, Dizzy Guy. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. And you're welcome. You're most welcome.
Yeah, I think this conversation is Jasper convincing Christopher to do something the same way, because it's not a fast process. It's not an immediate process. Is not being forced to. Evidently, he's being coerced into doing it, or maybe threatened or offered something, exactly like Sarah was. Because she had time to go to Christy and ask her, bounce the idea, if I had to do something really, really bad, but it could help everybody get out of here, would that be, would it be bad? That kind of thing. They might be working Christopher's brain the same way they worked Sarah's brain. And, obviously it looks like he turned on the town and said where everybody's hiding.
Maybe.
Can I ask?
The ultimate role he played. Yeah,
can I ask you, Ravner and Jeremy, and everyone in chat? Do you guys think Christopher is alive or dead?
That's just what I keep wondering as well. I mean, we see how old he was here, And we're led to believe this is probably taking place in 1978 or even before, because we know the massacre happens in 78. So if Christopher were to still be alive right now, he would have to be in his mid to late 90s or maybe even 100. Like he would be really, really old. I mean, is
Yeah,
that
he's Martin.
possible? Yeah,
It's
it's
Christopher
possible,
Martin
but I get the
or Martin
feeling
Christopher.
yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling if Christopher is still around, it's going to be in some kind of spirit form, whether it's
Mm.
a similar kind of spirit form that the boy in white is stuck in, or whether it's just a disembodied voice, some of the voices that Sarah hears. If Christopher is still around, I don't think it's going to be in a 95-year-old old man human form. It'll probably be more in a spirit form type thing. But no, I do think he is dead eventually. I do think he ultimately died, whether it was that night of the massacre or a different night. I mean, again, if he was just a regular human still alive, he would be near 100 years old now. So I just don't see that being possible. But then again, this is Fromville. Who knows what the heck's possible? But what do you
Yeah.
guys think in chat? Do you think Christopher is alive? Do you think Christopher is dead? What do you think is up with Christopher, and what kind of role do you think he is going to play? Yeah, if he's, I don't know if he's alive unless the town has kept him alive. Now that's an interesting possibility, as Amy brings up, because yeah, I mean, we definitely saw that Martin. It seemed like those worms were physically keeping Martin alive for years, according to Boyd. We don't know exactly how many years, but if his tattoo is any indication, Martin could have been kept alive for decades, like many decades, or even a century for all we know. So
But if
could
he's alive,
Fromville itself?
yeah, if he's alive, where is he though? Because Victor didn't see him for
Exactly.
40 or however many years. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I tend to think he's dead personally. I don't think he's still alive.
Maybe.
I think he'd be way too old now. But who knows? Again, maybe if the town kept him alive for some weird reason, why did they? And as you mentioned, why has nobody seen him? Unless Victor maybe did see him at some point and just doesn't remember it. Maybe that's another memory that could come back to Victor. And maybe that's some of the memories he's trying to uncover, because it seems like the memory he was trying to uncover in this episode was directly had to do with the massacre. It seems like he's trying to figure out more about this massacre. And I do think we will ultimately find out whatever fate Christopher befell through Victor, hopefully this season. But it seems like whatever memories he's trying to jog loose definitely seem to be massacre focused. So I think we'll learn something. I think we'll find out what happened to Christopher. But I'd have a hard time believing he is still alive. I think he's probably dead, or maybe in some kind of spirit form, maybe.
Do you think the town wants to kill everybody? Because I mean, do you think like they would have?
I don't know.
Because Abby was the only other one. I mean, we keep forgetting that Abby, got compromised in pretty much the same way that Christopher did.
Yeah.
Maybe when Christopher was no longer useful, when they got everybody they thought they were going to get, the town had no use for him. And who knows? Maybe.
Ooh, maybe. I don't know, man. I like this though too. Like maybe Christopher potentially became a monster. Yeesh.
Ooh.
Now that would be pretty cool. Like if we saw this actor at some point, if we actually saw a monster at some point, and it was this actor, like okay, like Christopher became a monster. Like that's a possibility. That's definitely a possibility, Jason. I actually like that.
I think it's more likely
Maybe
like he
became a
became
monster.
not like one of the normal monsters, but like something else
Yeah.
that we haven't seen yet.
Something else. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because again, I mean, we keep getting all of these hints and all of these foreshadowings of something being out in the forest that are worse than the monsters. The monsters are just the quote unquote tip of the spear. So yeah, did Christopher meet some kind of fate that was worse than becoming a monster? Because we hear that interesting foreshadowing from Randall this season, about he thinks that there are fates here that are worse than death. And what kind of fate could be worse than death? Well, I certainly think being turned into one of these monsters is a way worse fate than death. I mean, give me death that over turning into one of these things any day, or potentially whatever else he turned into, maybe. So yeah, I think that could be possible that we'll see something befell Christopher, but he's not exactly the monster that we know, but something else, something we haven't even seen yet. Maybe that would be really cool.
I would have said that he's a thing cluttering around or clopping around out at Cannibal Village. Like maybe he felt so guilty about what he did, because he thought he was doing the right thing, just like Sarah thought she was doing the right thing. But then he ended up with I don't know if he saw the effects of the massacre and then felt too guilty or didn't want to explain to the next people that arrived how all this happened. Maybe he didn't at that point. If he split town and just headed out into the woods, maybe that's Christopher. Maybe he's a 90-year-old living out there in those two stone
Could that be
huts and
those?
stuff.
Could that be the footsteps we're hearing outside of Cannibal Village? Even is this old Christopher shuffling around out there saying, "Hey, who's stealing my freaking food?" I don't know. I don't
And he
know.
wouldn't have known that Victor was alive, but maybe he just didn't want to go back to the. I'm just totally speculating, just guessing. You know, maybe he didn't want to go back to the town. Maybe it carried too bad of memories, the same way Victor is affected by bad memories. You know,
Maybe.
and plus, I mean, at that point, there was nothing but 50 bodies strewn about the road.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe 100 is the new 40, as Star points out. Maybe 100 is the new 40. Christopher became the boy in white. Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, maybe. I mean, we get all these hints, at least from Sarah, that she thinks that it's not really a boy. Yeah, I mean, could Christopher have died the night of the massacre, or something have happened to him the night of the massacre, and he became trapped in this kind of boy in white form? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting theory. Very interesting theory.
Yeah,
I told
Sarah
you I
needs to
thought
elaborate
Eloise
on
was
that too.
I told you all I thought Eloise was dead, and Victor said it, but he didn't have Christopher's stuff in his suitcase. This is true. I mean, and that's the thing that kind of sets Victor off, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, he's looking through the suitcase and he's wondering. He's like, "There's nothing in here that belonged to Christopher." And if we're led to believe that everybody that died the night of the massacre, if they all have a possession in that suitcase, then that maybe leans into Christopher maybe not dying that night. Maybe Christopher did survive the massacre, or again, maybe he even helped facilitate the massacre. I don't know. But yeah, I think that flashbacks we see of Victor are not Victor's actual age in that moment. It's just like how his childlike brain sees himself. Ooh, now that's interesting. That's an interesting concept, Brecken. That like when Victor is seeing some of these flashbacks, I mean, we see young Victor there along with him, this young Victor here. But could that just be how Victor perceives himself, and maybe he was a little bit older when he sees some of these things? That's an interesting concept. I suppose it's possible. Again, it seems like a lot could be possible here, and I could totally understand Victor maybe seeing himself as his 10-year-old self, this 10-year-old child. After all, he hasn't really progressed past that 10-year-old, child state of mind. He very much still is a kid trapped in an adult body. So yeah, if Victor is remembering some old memories, I mean, I suppose it wouldn't be too big of a stretch to think that he's maybe envisioning himself as this 10-year-old child. That's kind of just how he sees himself. No, that's an interesting one. I like that. I actually like that. Who knows? Who knows? But it seems like the chat is mostly split between Christopher being dead or Christopher being maybe potentially still alive in some other weird form. I don't know. I get the feeling he's dead, or potentially in some kind of spirit form, maybe. But I feel like we will at least get that definitive answer. And definitely seems like they're setting this Christopher character up to either play a role or to be some kind of warning of a role that was played in the 1978 timeline that is also being played now. Like, we see all the similarities between Christopher and Jade. Could Jade be going down a same storyline that Christopher went through? It definitely seems to be like that might be the case, along with all of the other characters that seem to be paralleling previous storylines, whether it's Tabitha and Miranda, whether it's Ethan and Victor, Boyd and potentially Martin. We have a lot of interesting similarities of characters kind of repeating certain things. So who knows?
They
Who
better
knows?
not
I
do
definitely
that to
think Christopher is
Jade,
going to
man.
play some part. No. I mean, Jade's got to solve it. I truly believe that whatever happened to Christopher, I get the feeling it happened to him because he was not able to solve whatever the mystery of that symbol was. Whatever the symbol is trying to tell Christopher, it seems like he failed to solve it. And I get the feeling that's what's happening to Jade right now. Jade is being plagued with all these visions. He's seeing this symbol over and over again. He's trying to figure out what it means. I think Jade will be the first to truly figure out what this symbol means. And I wouldn't be surprised if all of these visions Jade is having are previous versions of people who have also seen this symbol, whether it's the person we see in episode 3 that was kind of spiked to the tree, whether it drinking out of the human skull, whether it was even the Civil War soldier in season 1. Could these all be previous versions of Jade, previous versions of people that were stuck here in Fromville that were seeing this symbol, but for some reason they were not able to solve it? And maybe it ultimately kind of corrupted each one of them in the end. and maybe that's what happened to Christopher. But I do get the feeling if that is the case, I think Jade will solve it. I think Jade will get to the point where he is driven right to the edge of the abyss, and he'll pull himself back. Jade will solve this symbol, I believe, but who knows? Who knows? So much going on in the show that we just don't know. Who knows? I want to think that he lived and kidnapped Eloise if Victor was wrong about his sister. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, and that's another thing. We still need to find we still need to learn the ultimate fate of what befell Eloise. Did she die the night of the massacre? Did she survive the massacre? Again, I feel like they're setting this Eloise character up to make some kind of epic return in some weird fashion. Victor, of course, is under the assumption that Eloise is dead, but that's just because she left the town the night of the massacre and she never returned. Victor has never found Eloise's body, or at least that's what we've been led to believe up until this point. Even the showrunners have stated Eloise leaves the night of the massacre and never returns to town. So while Victor is under the assumption that Eloise is dead, I think he's going to find out he's a little bit wrong there. I would be very surprised if Eloise is dead. I get the feeling we are going to get some kind of Eloise reveal, whether she's been feral, just living in the forest of Fromville for the last 40 years, or whether she did potentially get out back then. I think we are going to get some kind of reveal, hopefully this season, of Eloise's ultimate fate. And again, I don't think she's dead. I think Eloise is out there. All of the foreshadowing they've done, all of the setting up this Eloise character in the manner they have, I mean, it seems like they're very much setting this character up to play a part in this story, not just to play a part in the story previously, not just to fill a previous role from the 1978 timeline. It definitely seems like they're setting up this Eloise character to play an active role in the current story. So I will be very shocked if we find out that Eloise has been dead this whole time. I very much think there is going to be some kind of reveal that Eloise is still alive, because that's another part of Victor's trauma. He's been, ever since remembering Eloise, and maybe even part of why he kind of tuned her out of his memory to begin with, is because he felt guilty. He was guilty that he was not able to protect his little sister, because that's the one thing that Miranda says to him, protect Eloise, watch Eloise. Because one thing we do find out this season is that Victor is the older brother. A lot of us were wondering, are they twins? Who's older? Who's younger? At least we do know now that Victor is the older brother. And yeah, he's probably been feeling guilty that he let his little sister down. But I think it's going to be a very interesting reveal when we find out that he didn't let his sister down, or not in the way that he thought, that she really is still alive somewhere. I'd be very surprised if Eloise was dead. But who knows? Maybe she could be. She could just be dead. That's very possible as well. But in terms of this Christopher character, I don't know. You guys' guess is as good as mine, whether he's still alive, whether he's dead, whether he's stuck in some kind of spirit form, or as someone brought up in the chat earlier, maybe he's even the boy in white. I think they're all plausible explanations, and hopefully we'll get the definitive one. Hopefully. I don't know. I guess we shall find out, guys. I guess we shall find out. But I want to learn a little bit more about this Jasper character. It's pretty funny, and I was saying this to D-Wag earlier on Twitter. I mean, it's kind of crazy that freaking Danny turned out to be the villain of From. What the fuck? Fucking Danny, the puppet.
Oh my
Danny.
gosh. Yeah. The true villain.
Oh, man. Yeah, the true villain the whole time. Mo Biggs would be very, very pleased right now if he was in chat to know that Danny was the villain the whole time. And that's another question. Could this Jasper entity, puppet, whatever this thing is, could this be the main villain of the show? That's one thing we've all been wondering, or a lot of us have been wondering anyway. What is the main villain? Who is the big bad of the show? And you guys, I mean, anyone who's been around here for a while, my thought on it. I've always thought that there is no one main big bad main villain, that Fromville itself is the main villain. This place has some kind of sentience, some kind of consciousness to it. What if the forest, Fromville itself, is the main villain, and the main objective of this place is to conquer it and escape, whether that is to complete the quest and rescue the children successfully, solve the symbol successfully. It definitely seems like, at least I get the feeling that Fromville itself, this whole place as a whole, is the main villain, is the main antagonist, is the main problem they need to solve. But then again, who knows? Maybe there is some other kind of big bad main villain that does have a more physical form that will get introduced, and who knows? Maybe it's this puppet. But what about you guys? Do you think there will be a main villain of the show?
I think there is. I don't think it's the doll, but I think the doll might be a level above the regular monsters just because they love putting very menacing things in a very small package, like an unassuming package. So, and they've been establishing this guy, seasons ago. So they're going to get their money's worth out of Jasper, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's the big bad. I don't know if he was the big bad, why would he be stuck in the caves by himself? Doesn't make sense to me.
Is he stuck in this puppet form and does he ultimately want to escape this puppet form? Is he maybe trapped in this puppet? I mean, at first I thought maybe he was possessing this puppet, or maybe just using this puppet as, again, some kind of conduit to communicate and manipulate people. But could it potentially be trapped in this puppet and wants out? Maybe, I don't know. But no, I don't think the puppet itself is going to be the big bad. Again, I very much think that Fromville itself is the main big bad. Because we know this place is alive. It gets angry when people try too hard to find answers or try to escape. It sends a freaking storm towards Colony House to take out the radio tower. This place is alive, for lack of a better term. So I do believe this place as a whole is the main villain, but I do think we'll see other villains as well, like the cicada entity we saw in season 2, like this Jasper puppet here, which will also be, a villain, a step above the monsters, but not the main overall big bad of the show. So I do tend to agree with you guys there.
I would kind of like it to be like a group of monsters all trying to vie for the top of the food, top of the pyramid type sort of thing. Okay. So there's there's no, this guy is the big bad, but they're all trying to be the big bad kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And whoever ends up on the top of the pile is the winner. That's what I reckon. It'd be sick if that was something like that.
Maybe. I mean, we have gotten all these hints of some kind of grand cosmic chess game being played in the background. All these crazy metaphors to chess, all of these entities we see. Could it be something like that, where we do see multiple kind of entities vying for a quote unquote top spot? Even maybe. If the puppet was a main villain, it would be a letdown. It would kind of be a letdown. I don't think, and again, if they do go that route, I don't think the puppet itself would be the main villain. I think the entity inside the puppet would probably be more along those lines. But again, I tend to think that this place as a whole is the actual main villain, Fromville itself. And these entities and these monsters and everything that are trapped inside it are a step below the actual main consciousness that is this place. That's where I kind of tend to lean. But I don't know. I guess we shall see. The black figure with red eyes, I believe, is the main evil entity. The black figure with red eyes. Interesting. And yeah, there's so much stuff we still need to learn. I mean, this other cave symbol that we still have really no idea what this other symbol is kind of a representation of. We see the symbol that Jade is seeing right next to it, but in terms of this red squid-like symbol that Robert Saunders kind of pointed out, you can kind of see the shape of it in Randall's blood at the end of this episode. You look at the blood on the hood of the ambulance, it almost kind of makes up this symbol here. But yes, we've seen this Jade symbol all over the place, the same symbol that Christopher was seeing, and potentially the same symbol that all of these people that Jade are having visions of maybe once saw. But in terms of this thing, still nothing on the show that has, we haven't even seen this symbol anywhere else on the show, anywhere. But I do get the feeling it is going to be a representation of something. And could this ultimately be the representation of two kind of entities that are kind of, fighting it out for the top spot, similar to what you said, Rob? Could this be, a representation of each one? And there's this kind of cosmic chess game that is being played in the background for that top spot. Maybe, who knows? But we need to learn a little bit more about this frickin' red symbol, guys. I mean, we see this one all over the frickin' place, yet we don't see this other red symbol anywhere else in the show up until this point. But I get the feeling it's going to mean something. It seems like it's too prevalent to mean something. The way they have it so prominent right there, and even that it's way bigger than the other symbol next to it, and we see how prominent this symbol is on the actual show. I would be very surprised if this symbol isn't a representation of something massive to come on the show. But we need to learn what, though. Here we are, 3 seasons in, and we have still yet to see this red symbol anywhere else. We see some interesting fan theories behind it, but in terms of like actual definitive stuff we've gotten on the show, we've seen nothing to tell us what this red symbol is truly. But again, I do like a lot of the fan theories that have sprung up around what this thing could potentially be.
Right,
But
and
I
that
don't
was
know.
from before the season, right? That was just that was them filming the set, because when they filmed it in the dark in the cave with Tabitha and Victor, it was a lot more at a farther distance and a lot darker
Yeah,
in there.
wasn't as clear.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah, I don't know, man. This whole cave thing is still a huge kind of mystery, but you can start to look at it and you start to think that maybe it is telling some kind of story of people arriving in Fromville via boat. At one point, we see these 7 blocks right here, which is very much probably the same 7 blocks that the Ankui children were laying on, and directly above the blocks we see the symbol, just like the symbol appeared right above the Ankui children that were laying on these blocks. So again, we see a lot of weird representations on these cave symbols of things that we might have already seen in the show. But in terms of definitive answers, yeah, we still don't know much, do we? Still don't know much. Yes, there will be a main monster. The man in yellow is how I think of him, some kind of mastermind. And yeah, I really cannot wait to learn a little bit more about this man in yellow. And when I first saw the whole man in yellow painting, my first thought was, and I know we've talked about this a lot, was the king in yellow. I brought up the king in yellow right when I saw the man in yellow painting, and how the story, the king in yellow, shares so many similarities with From, even down to this mysterious, ancient, cursed world of Fromville, very similar to Carcosa in the King in Yellow. So there's a lot of similarities there, but what is that man in yellow? The painting of that man in yellow, what is it going to be a representation of? I kind of think it might be the antithesis to the boy in white. We have the boy in white and the man in yellow, and maybe they are both representations of these symbols. Maybe the boy in white is on one side, the man in yellow is on the other, and maybe they are just bigger players on the chessboard that have yet to be revealed. I do get the feeling we are going to find out whatever this man in yellow painting is. I do get the feeling it will be a character on the show at some point. But I don't know. I guess we shall see. But man, awesome stuff. Yeah, please don't let the big bad just be a puppet. It would be a little bit of letdown. So I do agree with you guys there. It feels like the big bad needs to be a little bit more profound. Like for everything we've seen here, if the main villain if the main villain does have a physical monster form, it needs to be a little bit more profound than just a puppet. But again, I definitely really think that the main villain might just be this place. Fromville itself is the villain. But
I hope it's to
who
scale
knows?
it at the very least. I mean, if that is the opening that Jade
Ooh.
saw, which might be 10 feet across, maybe the monster will at least be 30 to 40 feet.
Oh man, jeez, giving more credence to the whole giant spider theory going around out there.
Yeah, look at
I
it
don't
in
know,
relation
man.
to
Yeah,
the people,
maybe.
like the people by the
Yeah,
circle.
like, right.
Yeah,
Yeah. If this thing is to scale, or even if this thing is to scale, and even
it's
these
a
people, if
kaiju.
that is to scale, it
Yeah.
still makes it fucking huge, bro. Yeah, it's bigger than trees. I mean, if these are meant to be trees, which I think they are, yeah, if this thing is to scale, then god dang it. But then again, you see like these that are probably meant to be the crows that are like bigger
Mm.
than people. So I don't know if
Oh,
it's to
that's true
scale.
too. Yeah.
Unless there's some giant crows flying out there, which there very well could be. Who knows? But no, that's what's so fun about this show, trying to decipher this stuff, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. What is the grand scheme? What is the ultimate goal? What does Fromville itself even want? Why is it bringing these people here to begin with? There's still so many massive questions that the show does need to answer, and I hope they do, and I get the feeling they will by the time it's all done. But yeah, I mean, as us as the audience, we're still left to wonder all of this stuff. What the heck is going on in this show, really? Why are people really getting brought here? Because it definitely doesn't seem like people are just randomly driving into Fromville, randomly finding a doorway into Fromville. It does kind of seem like something is specifically bringing specific people here for a reason. but what is that reason? And what kind of connections will we learn these people have to Fromville and to each other? Because that was one little tidbit we did get from some interviews before the season began, that we will start to find out that some of these characters have connections to this place that even they didn't know about. And part of me starts to think about Bacta and her character, and how she was seemingly the only one that has ever heard this weird nursery rhyme back in the real world. Now she's hearing it again here in Fromville. So what is her connection to this place? Does Tilly have some kind of weird connection to this place? Some people seem to think Tilly might have been here at some point in the past, and that's why she was so happy and doing that rain dance when the bus first arrived here, because she was happy to be back. I don't know. I think she's just a kooky old grandmother personally. But who knows? Again, these are some of the things that are fun to discuss and fun to try and figure out just where exactly this thing is going. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But one thing we do know, episode 5 is just around the corner. And again, it looks like episode 5 is going to be very, very fun. How exactly is all of this stuff going to play out with Boyd and Randall? Will Randall kind of have a big grudge? Will he be coming for Boyd, for lack of a better term? We got Elgin and everything that he's going through with the weird kimono entity that he's seeing. What exactly is going on there? Does this thing need Elgin's help? And if so, what help does it need? What exactly is going to be going on with Tabitha in episode 5 and everything that she has learned and everything that she tells the town about the tree and the way out? How is the town going to react to that? Are we going to see people demanding to to march out into the forest to find this lighthouse again? I don't know. I cannot wait to see how episode 5 is going to go. But we got Christian Boswell. Thank you so much, Christian. Very much appreciate that. Elgin is seeing 2 ghosts, different outfits on. Ooh, interesting. Oh, what the kimono entity? I think it's 2 different people. I think they just changed the design from season 2 to season 3, because we see it in season 2, and a lot of people thought it looked a lot like Fatima, and I was even one of them. But it looks like the creature in season 2 that pushed Elgin under the water, I do think that is the same creature that he is seeing here, but it looks like they had 2 different actors playing it from season 2 to season 3. Season 2 might not have even been an actor. It might have just been mostly CGI. But here in season 3, it looks like they specifically cast an Asian actress to play that role. So I do think they are the same being, but they do look a lot different from season 2 to season 3. So who knows? I mean, could they potentially be 2 different separate things? I suppose that's possible. But I tend to think that they're the same creature. But what about you guys? Do you think there's 2 kimono creatures that Elgin is seeing, or do you think it's just a different design in season 3 that we got in season 2?
I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing. I don't see. I mean, it could be. I mean, they could have changed it stylistically or whatever between seasons, but I don't know that even if they did it, if it's significant.
Yeah, I think it's just
I don't know.
one.
Yeah, I think it's just a different design. Again, like when we see it in season 2, like I'll leave this picture up here, and it kind of has a little bit more of an Asian style feature here. And we did actually see from before they started filming season 3, they put out a casting call where they were specifically looking for an actress of Asian descent to play this role. So it looks like they're specifically trying to go into a little bit more of the Japanese, aesthetic with the kimono and this actress looking a little bit more Japanese to season 2. Whereas season 2, it just seemed like they kind of just had any old extra playing the role. So I do get the feeling it is the same creature, but I think it's just a little bit of a different design. But there is no denying they definitely look a lot different. I mean, even when you look at this one here in season 3, and then you go back and look at the season 2 version, they definitely look a lot different. But I get the feeling that that's just a design change that they had from season 2 to season 3, and I think it's the same creature, just they look a little bit different. And the sound always gets me in that scene. The freaking nasty, banshee wailing sound that thing gives off, man. Super creepy. I don't know. Whatever this thing is, I cannot wait to learn a little bit more about it. Could there potentially be 2 different apparitions. Again, I suppose it's possible. It does look like they have kind of similar kimonos on, but a little bit different in both of the scenes. But again, I kind of tend to think that that's just a design choice, that they just changed the design a little bit of it for season 3. But who knows? I guess we'll find out more a little bit later if we find out there is 2 different things that Elgin is seeing. I tend to think it's 1, but who knows? I definitely could be wrong. But yeah, there we have it, guys. Episode 4 is in the books. We got a pretty interesting and high intensity episode from everything that was happening with Randall and the bus and Tabitha's big return and Ethan continuing to be a danger to everybody around him, opening these freaking doors at night like it's going out of style. I guess we get the feeling that could potentially lead to someone getting severely hurt, someone other than Ethan, because that's always how it happens. The people that are putting everybody in danger, it's never that person that gets hurt. It's someone around them that they get hurt. So I get the feeling we're going to see Ethan, hopefully we'll see Ethan maybe start to wisen up a little bit more, especially now that Tabitha is back. Hopefully we won't see Ethan acting as erratic. I was hoping, this was probably the only thing I was a little underwhelmed with in episode 4 was the cabin scene. I was really hoping to get a little bit more of some kind of supernatural occurrence than just the same old tapping that we already saw. So I was a little disappointed there. I thought we were going to get a little bit more, especially after the very ominous foreshadowing of Jade messing with the totem and knocking the totem over. I definitely thought something was going to happen when they spent the night here. But it seems like all they heard was the same old knocking. But then again, they haven't emerged from it. I guess we'll have to see when they leave these cabins in the next episode if we see anything has changed in the outside. Maybe. I'm not really anticipating it, but I guess we shall see. But yes, episode 4, guys, is in the books. And again, I definitely really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was definitely a big step up from episode 3. Episode 3 definitely seemed to be a little bit more setup, where this episode kind of followed through on some of that setup. We got some interesting reveals, but we also got some interesting reveals that kind of only led to more questions too. So totally understand why people are definitely hankering for some real answers. And I do think we are going to get those answers this season. I think by the time season 3 is over, we will have a much more definitive grasp on where this story is going and what Fromville is as a whole. So I am hoping for some pretty big revelations by the time we get to the end of season 3. And again, we do have episode 9 and 10 are titled Revelations Part 1 and Part 2. So I do think we have some big answers coming this season, guys. And I think they're going to hopefully be some pretty satisfying answers. But that is going to do it for us tonight. But before we get out of here, I want to hear from you guys on the panel and in the chat. If you have changed your score in any way, where do you rate episode 4 from 1 out of 10, with 1 being horrible and 10 being perfect? Where do you guys score episode 4? Rob, what do you got?
I'm going to go 7.5.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
7.5.
Solid.
7.5 pushing 8, I think.
Okay.
I wanted more answers, and that's on me. Like, I wanted more answers, at least something. I just felt like it's like stuff happened. It was lots of things happened during the episode, but I just felt like I wanted more answers. So that's my problem.
Okay.
7.5.
Nothing wrong with that.
Pushing 8.
Nothing wrong with that. That 7.5 is still a respectable score, I would say. We got a 10 in the chat. Love seeing 10s. What about you, Raven? Or has your score stayed the same or differed since the other night?
Well, I've drifted up. I started out fairly low. I think maybe 7.5. I think, and I think by Monday or by late Sunday it was at an 8. I think I'm going to settle on an 8.5. I think this really was satisfying in a lot of ways. It moved the plot forward in a lot of ways, gave us excitement, action, and a whole lot more questions. Great, awesome cliffhanger ending. Great, awesome scene with Fatima that cut off in the middle, so we didn't see how the exact ending with Nikki, how what she did there, and a whole lot more. So we get to see an echo of the early scene when Jim and Kenny came back into town and the world was changed. Now Jade and that whole group is going to come back into town, and they're going to see a whole new world too. So it's a lot to look forward to in number 5. And that diner scene, just the without even looking too deep into it, stuff is happening, stuff is going down. So Yeah, 8.5 for me.
I know. I can't
Very
wait.
satisfied. Yeah.
It was. I mean, again, this was a satisfying episode. I thought we got some pretty interesting tidbits to some things that have been pretty heavy fan theories for a while, like the whole Christopher puppet connection. A lot of fans have been thinking for a very long time that Christopher was the owner of this puppet, and it looks like that was the case. So it's nice to get some, solid confirmation on some interesting fan theories that have been around for a while. But yes, we did also get a ton of new questions along with those answers as well. So I'm probably I think I gave it an 8 the other night. I'll probably upgrade to an 8.5 as well. Again, just, it was a really high intensity episode. I was very much on the edge of my seat watching this episode. It whipped by incredibly fast, and that
Yeah.
usually only happens when I'm really enjoying episodes. So yeah, I'm going to give this one a solid 8.5 between some of the reveals we've got and just the sheer acting performance from Scotty McCord is definitely one of the bigger reasons why I'm giving it an extra 5. He
Man,
just
when he was
killed it in these
well,
scenes.
what got me, and the one that really got me was that when he was reminiscing about Mr. Gerber and talking about the onions, and he kind of had that little smile, and then he
Smile on his face.
he
He
sniffs that
smell like
watch
onion.
to see if he
Yes.
sniffs the watch to see if he could pick up
So
anything. It's
good.
like, man, yeah, that is a kid thing.
So good.
A kid thing to do.
It is, man. It really is. Like, again, you can really see that he plays this role of this kid really good. And yeah, you see the little smile on his face when he's got the watch in hand. He's just such a good fucking actor, man. Like, I don't know what he draws on for inspiration, how he slips into the skin of this Victor character. I don't know what his process is, but boy, I would love to know, because he embodies this character, head, toe, and spirit. Like, he becomes Victor. It's just such an incredible performance to watch, and that's why I really enjoy shows like this. Sometimes, yes, I really want a good story. Obviously, I want a good plot and I want answers, but sometimes I can just appreciate an episode that has just simply good acting performances in it, whether it's good dialogue, good writing, or just a good, solid performance that Scotty McCord gives every freaking week. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not like dying for answers as much as I probably would be on other shows that don't have this good of acting in it. But yeah, for me, sometimes I just love sitting back and just enjoying the pure artistry of Scotty McCord's acting and of Harold Perrineau's acting as well. And even like you mentioned earlier, Ravener, Ricky He as Kenny has had some phenomenal scenes this season. The acting has just been so good all around. So yeah, really enjoying the season so far. Definitely shaping up like this could potentially be their best season yet. I've always very much enjoyed season 1 the most. I enjoy season 2, obviously, but season 1's always been my favorite. But this very well could potentially be their best season when all is said and done, if they continue on this pace that they're at. And hopefully we will get some definitive answers by the time we get to the finale. But there it is, guys. Awesome, awesome stuff. Again, another really good episode. And it seems like we got a lot of awesome scores in the chat. A lot of 8s, a lot of 9s, some 10s even, and some 7s. It seems like a lot of people are enjoying it. But yes, I would love some 2-hour episodes as well, PM. Abso-freaking-lutely. And honestly, I would really love even some episodes that were just a full hour. Most of the episodes we're getting so far seem to be around, 45, 47 minutes, maybe 50 minutes at most. It would be nice to get some full, proper 1-hour episodes at least. And maybe we will. Maybe we will. But awesome stuff, guys. Awesome stuff indeed. Now, of course, I will be live again either Friday or our usual Saturday show. Obviously, every Saturday and Sunday we go live, diving into our pregame shows on Saturday. And then Sunday we will be doing our next live watch party for episode 5 right here on the channel. But I might be going live Friday this week as well to talk some episode 5 predictions and maybe dive into a little bit of Teacup talk as well. If anyone has not checked out Teacup yet, I would highly recommend checking it out. It's a show that probably most From fans would like, maybe not everybody, but it does have a lot of similar tones and themes that From is playing with. So if anybody has not seen Teacup yet, there's been 2 episodes so far. They're only 30-minute episodes. They're super fast, but we do get 2 of them a week, so it's like getting an hour a week. But if you have not seen Teacup yet, check out that show. It is on the Peacock streaming service, and Peacock is free. It's a free streaming service. You don't have to pay for it or anything like that. It's just free. Anybody can watch it. So if you guys haven't already, I would highly recommend checking out Teacup, and it's been really fun so far to see where that show is going. They come out with new episodes every Thursday. So by the time Friday comes around, the first 4 episodes will already be out. But again, they're 30-minute episodes, so it's really just 2 hours. So I would highly recommend checking out Teacup when you get a chance, because we might talk a little bit about that this Friday, along with our From Episode 5 predictions. But again, big thank you to each and every one of you for coming out and joining us tonight. And a huge thank you to everybody who sent in super chats and gifted memberships. I can't thank all of you enough for the support. It's been just absolutely overwhelming, the support you guys have been showing this year. Can't thank you all enough. And yeah, we will be back. And of course, I will have my Episode 5 trailer breakdown up on the channel either tomorrow or Thursday, the latest. My Episode 4 breakdown is up on the channel right now. You can check that out. And the Episode 5 trailer, I did upload that on the channel as well. So if anybody wants to check out the Episode 5 trailer again, it is up on the channel. And again, I will have my Episode 5 in-deep breakdown. My trailer breakdown for Episode 5 will be up again, either tomorrow or Thursday, the latest. But until next time, big thank you to each and every one of you guys. Stay safe out there in this crazy, crazy world we find ourselves in. And as always, keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and I will see you on the next one.